最近おじいちゃんいるから違うけど久しぶりにバイブスあげてこう俺さんできるスイカ
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Castaway Anime Podcast. I'm Neon Manta,
I'm Crunchy Bagels.
and we are back with another one of the seasonal anime impressions podcast. Y'all know them, you'll love them. They're always the most fun we have to do on this podcast every year, and we got two brand new guests. Please go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Cultured Crusader. I've been known to post some videos pertaining to anime here and there. I'm glad to be here.
And I'm Key Smash, and I hate anime. I don't know why I was invited. I don't know why I'm here.
Well, you're providing the perspective. We want to cover all perspectives for
It's a
this
fair
podcast.
and balanced.
Those who
Anime
love, those who
is
hate.
degenerate trash for degenerate trash.
Real.
Well, see, we like anime and we agree.
Oh,
I'd
well.
imagine you're not gonna find too many people who disagree with that statement.
For real though, you can find me at Key Smash. We're at the Key Smash when the first one was taken by. Always upset by that. Anyway, I make videos on sometimes anime stuff, mostly Japanese content in general.
I have mad respect for how you seemingly. It feels like you have a giant spinning like Wheel of Fortune wheel on your wall of like literally anything that pops into your head, regardless of how well it performed in the algorithm, and you just throw a dart at it and be like, yes, Sonic Chronicles video, Fatal Frame live action movie.
Oh yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll do whatever that I think is interesting. That's what matters to me most, is do I think it's interesting and do I have something to say about it?
Well, there is something that you did have, something you wanted to say something about. A little something about Baki.
Oh yeah, so Baki is airing this season, but it's not on the list of stuff to talk about because it's airing after we do our discussions on it. But also yeah, go watch Baki. This next arc is the pickle arc.
What? What did they
He
got
turned himself
Pickle
into a
Rick on
pickle?
there?
No. So the last episode of the previous season ended on a cliffhanger where they found this prehistoric like block of ice, and inside of it was a T-Rex fighting a guy. And he was winning.
All right, that does sound pretty awesome.
So-
Not gonna lie.
The pickle arc is about this prehistoric man who gets referred to as Pickle, and just the way he is drawn is just so grotesque. But hey, if you're into Baki, then that's just what you're used to.
Comes
is
with the territory.
you're into some grotesque stuff. Let me just, because I'm the one that's familiar with Baki here, let me just send a picture to the other three, just so they get an idea of what this guy looks like.
I will be
That
putting
is
this on
peak,
screen.
man.
That is haunting.
Yeah, that's like,
That's
a
peak
piece of art
male
of the guy.
form. That's what that is.
That is an SCP escapee right there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway, he hunts and eats T-Rexes. That's just his food.
Okay.
And so this arc is everyone in the Baki gang being like, I want a piece of him. And varying
I
degrees
want
of
you.
success and failure. It's a ridiculous.
I'm almost terrified to ask why there's a vein running across his shoulder down to his waist like a bandolier.
Don't think about it. Baki's just like that. Yeah, so basically, if you don't really know what Baki is, I would say if you are a fan of both JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Hajime no Ippo, then Baki is going to be up your alley. Also, if you are a fan of the movie Riki-Oh, The Story of Ricky, that's just live action Baki.
Well, it sounds like a real hoot and a holler. I have a friend who loves Baki, says it's the stupidest thing he's ever seen, and he loves it.
Oh, it's very stupid. It's fantastic.
But now is not the time for Baki. Now is the time for the summer 2023 new seasonal anime. And I hate to give my impressions of the season as a whole away early, but it's kind of feeling like we got us another winter 2023 on our hands.
Okay, so I mean, I guess I'll go out in the same vein. There's Zom 100, and Zom 100,
Hey, that show's good.
Zom 100.
That is one of the three
okay,
good ones.
To be fair, I have not seen the second block of shows. I've heard good things about Dark Gathering and Undead Girl Murder Farce. I have heard is
That is the
a
name of that.
surprisingly good time. But overall, as of block 1, I mean, okay, to be completely fair, this is where all the isekai are. The entire latter half of this block is like guaranteed to be bad. So
That's true. There's a lot going against it. Yeah, it's a little
It has
so hey,
underwhelming.
it has a
maybe
lot
My
going
Tiny
against
Senpai
it.
will actually be like the new Monogatari, the new I don't know what's another
I've
good
got
show.
opinions on that, but we'll save it for later.
Yeah, My Tiny Senpai will be the masterpiece we didn't deserve.
bold
But
claim.
anyway, I have no idea what it's like other than that fucking Project Number 9.
It's exactly
made it,
what
which
you
means
think
it's
it
gonna be
sounds
bad.
like. That's for next week. This week it's time for Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. Might be definitely maybe early to call this, but probably a contender, if not maybe the winner of show of the season.
Oh yeah, as soon as I watched it, I was like, it was a really choice decision to open with anime of the season. I'm gonna say that outright. It is. There is no contender. It just is.
I would be surprised to find something like with the production quality, the direction, the soul to match it.
See, the thing
Absolutely.
is, okay, so Vending Machine Isekai was strangely enough
No.
the first show I watched
Uh-huh.
because of another podcast me and Neon are doing. But after that was Zom 100, which means that every other show after that had to compare to Zom 100, which means that I peaked early and did not get anything else that came close. Because this is easily the best of the block. I guess I'll just spoil that. I've also read probably a significant portion of Volume 1 of the manga. I didn't end up reading all too much of it, but I just spent like an afternoon.
I also read a
perusing
little bit
the
of it. How far
early-
did you get?
Yeah. About when the girl was introduced with.
Okay, I got
The really
further. I
hot-
got to the village.
No clue what. that
Exactly.
is,
That's
though.
the proof that I got further. That you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I remember having my thoughts on the story were it's not particularly engrossed in it, but it's
I mean, most zombie stuff
stopped
kind of
reading it.
just all right story wise, unless we're talking
For
like
me,
I don't know,
the thing
Yeah, but
is,
this-
Call of Duty
this-
zombies,
it-
the lore.
well, see, the directing in this show and the animation quality have the potential and seem to be like elevating the story to the point where maybe I can actually get engrossed in it this time around. Now that it's off the page of a manga and onto a beautifully animated TV show.
Okay, so
I have
like
not read the manga,
direction
and I
aside, for me, it's not about the story that is the part that is engaging. It's the characters hanging out. It's the dynamic between them where it's just like, okay, here's these two bros hanging out, loving it in the apocalypse. It's a lot of fun to watch them. Like as soon as the best friend gets introduced in which will be in episode 3, their dynamic is fun to watch.
You see, for my perspective, I haven't read the manga or haven't gotten past episode 1. But I'll tell you this much: I am definitely sold on the story and the premise of this whole show. Just on the basis of it having probably the most like resounding theme and like thesis statement of not just the season, but possibly of like anime throughout the year.
Oh yeah, this show is
I
definitely going to
mean-
convince at least one person to quit their job.
Probably.
Oh, for sure.
And
I
Godspeed
probably
to
wouldn't
'em.
go nearly as far as to say that it's like one of the thesis statements of the entire year so far, but like it is a very resounding success of a first episode. It Okay, so the whole idea behind the show is that it's basically here to ask the question: if you took someone in like one of the worst situations you can think of, the zombie apocalypse, humanity is quickly being eaten by zombies, everything's gone crazy. This is a situation that pretty much anyone would look at and be like, well, that's no good. That's not good in the slightest. Very bad. But what would it take for someone to look at that situation and smile at the opportunity that it has presented them? And the answer is, and this is a very Japan-centric solution to the question, working at a black company.
Or just working in general.
Yeah, true.
Okay, have you seen? There's footage of the Yuke's office in Japan. Yuke's being a game developer, and there is footage where they show off a room with bunk beds, and this is like, oh, this is where the employees sleep when they stay over the night,
And they stay over
Well, that's,
often.
you know,
and like they
looks cozy.
just casually show it as if it's a normal part of what work should be.
It sounds to me like you're telling me you have a problem with them having beds at their office. Do you have a bed? I mean, like, I normally in most jobs you don't see a bed. So I think
No, I sleep standing up.
Okay, all right. That's a pretty good skill.
Beds are for weak bitches who don't know how to live their life.
I'm just saying, you know, I've seen the Japanese salaryman portrayed in many an anime, and frankly, I think they
Those
have it too
8
easy.
hours you can spend burning calories by standing.
You get paid to go out for drinks with your boss and the boys. I don't know. I think they just have the
what
wrong
I
attitude about it.
But you don't get the 150 to 200 hours of unpaid overtime.
Well, you don't need to even go home. You
What
got
I
the bed
love
there.
about
You don't
the
need a
way
house.
this show
Just keep working.
see, and this will be a critique with other anime later on down the line, but I really think the way that Zom 100 gets you into the main character's situation makes you immediately connect with it, because it spends most of the episode basically following him going through this these horrible working conditions. And I love the almost like fake out at the beginning. Obviously we already know that he's being abused at his workplace, but it's like everyone's sort of conspiring to give him like a happy welcome, and leading him around the office. He meets this girl. It looks like it's about to become an office romantic comedy about him chasing the girl of his dreams, having these fun drinking parties, working hard during the day. It feels like the beginning of something like My Senpai is Annoying.
New game.
In a way, it
But-
is a comedy, but everyone is laughing at Tendo.
Yeah.
They're all in on the joke that they're the fucking pawns of the society, the work society and culture that they've unwittingly allowed themselves to fall victim to.
Yeah, it's like as soon as the drinking party is over, like, okay, we've given this guy his welcome, the mask falls off completely, and this very darkly hilarious scene of everyone being like, all right, time to go back to work.
Yeah, they pull out all of their work tags, like dog collars. And it's just like, all right, it's time back to the ye old grind.
For like another 2
immediately-
days.
And
Yeah.
immediately we see the youthful optimism of our main boy Akira just fucking bent over backwards and snapped like a twig.
See, I'm realizing ever since Onimai, I've realized that I have a thing for spiral eyes, and this show has like some of the best out there, because you can feel his mania as he's going through work.
At one
every
point
day.
in an interview with a client, he's just like drawing a spiral on a notepad.
That
just like
visualization
keep the
was
voices
so
out.
good. And by the end, it's almost like this sense of him losing grip with reality, of him. He bumps into.
He wants to kill himself.
Well, yeah, that, but also him like bumping into. I think it was like I forget exactly what it was. Maybe a mailbox, something like that.
Yeah, it
And
was some
he's
yeah,
sort
he
of
bumps
mailbox.
into like a
Excuse
mailbox.
me,
He's like,
as
oh.
if it were a person, and he like
He's
doesn't
already a
even realize
zombie.
what he's done. He himself is the zombie. Yeah.
I don't know. I think at a certain point you go. It just reminds me of that one meme. What is it like? Man, I hate my job. Goes to work. Maybe just don't
Well,
do that.
that's the fucked up part, because the work culture has like trained him and so many others like him to be like, oh, I can't leave if I don't have time to find a new job because I'm spending so much time at this job that I hate and I need to do to make my meager living wages. My team will have to pick up my slack if I leave, and I know these guys. I don't want to do them like that. And hey, there are worse companies in the industry than mine. Like this is the toxic spiral. This is how they ensnare them in the web.
No, I think it did a really good job portraying. Just like that. I mean, that first episode in general was like one of the best first episodes I think I've seen for at least anime like for the last 5 years probably. But
Damn,
Yeah, definitely
that's
quite some
okay.
time.
no, it was really good. I was like amazed by the production value. I thought the visual style that it was going for was like, okay, this is very good. There were most of the moments I was like, this is movie quality stuff that I'm seeing. But I will say,
Yeah,
I will say, I think there was a reason for that because after watching episode 2, I'm not saying it like looks bad or anything, but I watched it and I was like, I remembered this looking a little better. Like I felt like episode 2 kind of looked a little less.
Yeah, there was one part where he was crawling down the pipe, and you look in the window, and you're like, huh,
Yeah, I don't know.
that doesn't look great.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like little things like that.
No.
For
Is it
reference,
like
they use,
Call of the Night situation where the first 2 episodes, well, not even the first 2 apparently, but like the first episode has like amazing animation. Then you move on to like episode 3, and it's kind of just a bunch of like panning shots and a bit of animation here and there.
Yeah, blowing your load on episode 1. I don't think that. I mean, I did think that first episode was great, and I think a lot of the budget really went to making a good first impression. Even if episode 2 is like what the show is mostly going to look like, I think it's still going to look great. I don't have a
yeah,
problem with it
if
at all.
episode
I've
2 is the
seen
bar,
online-
then it's
Yeah,
still going to
it-
be a fantastic looking episode.
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah, I've seen online that according to I guess the credits, animation production for episode 2 and presumably for multiple episodes onward might be handled by Studio Shaft.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
took a screenshot of
I
it.
did see that.
Studio
Yeah, I did see that
Shaft.
works.
I didn't even know that.
I saw Shaft
was
That's-
with it.
I'm the
credits.
one
Okay.
who should know this.
Well, I know because I know it's
It's not listed
well-
on like the My Anime List page, but it's in the credits that they did work on the animation production.
Yeah.
It's like in cooperation with something.
Well, I think it's mostly because
Yeah, 'cause
Bug
this-
Films.
and-
This is from
Yeah,
a
it's in.
news
I mean, they
studio
did like
called Bug
openings, I
Films.
think, and closings for anime before, but this is like their only like actual first production of a
Yeah,
full-on
this is their
show.
first production.
So it makes
A
sense that they
production
get a little
so
help.
good that I'm convinced that someone did not see their kids for working overtime, working on that fucking tackle alone.
Oh, the irony.
God, What if that happened? Oh, I can only imagine.
Imagine working on this
the
show
cruel irony.
and just as you're animating him about to jump into the train for working overtime, they're working overtime.
It smash cuts to the animator jumping in front of a
Now
train.
I hope that didn't happen, but it's not unlikely.
right.
What I
It's
think
it's
is
so unbelievably
probably
over.
the case is that whoever formed this new studio probably has a lot of connections in the industry, and through that was able to bring on a lot of extremely talented people to the project. Like,
The Comey director.
yeah, Comey director. I mean, that's from, God, I'm forgetting which studio did Comey now, but
OLM.
OLM, yeah, that's like a really well established studio, been in the game for a while. So clearly, this is probably a studio comprised of people who know what they're doing, who have been doing this for many, many years, and to know how to make a project shine. And it does very clearly show. And, I've criticized Comey's direction in the past. I have no complaints.
I'll
here.
say it right
He,
here.
like-
Comey's fucking trash.
Oh!
I don't like. I like the direction and the production.
I'm not talking
of
about the
show.
anime. I only read like the manga. I did not even want to watch the anime.
I fell out of the anime the longer it went on, and the more I saw of it. Oh, it's like it progresses really slowly, and a lot of the side characters just kind of obnoxious.
Neon, I told you this way early on that it makes no progress. For,
I read a lot of the
100
chapters, and I was like, man, this is for some basic bitches.
I read 80
And
chapters.
it's a damn shame too, because I remember the first episode of Comey being like this first episode, impeccably well directed.
Dude, I love the sequence where it's all black and white, but then like the zombies have like these with this colored blood on.
Multi-
Yeah, I
colored
love the blood.
splash-
Yeah.
splashing.
I love
The
Because-
contrast was such a good wake up
Yeah.
call of like, okay, shit's happening and
see-
shit is popping off.
It also serves an admittedly very, very basic metaphorical purpose, but the idea of bringing color back into his world of like this, this blood that should be pure red, that should be eerie and frightening, is like it kind of looks like a game of paintball.
It's a
Kinda looks
very
like fun.
inspired choice to make it multicolor.
Yeah,
It's an
great.
empowering scene where him just running for his life, but from like World War Z tier zombies that are like running after him, not just shambling, running at full speed. But while he's running and hopping over all sorts of like buildings and between balconies, he's like, "Oh God, I can't deal with the zombie apocalypse. I'm gonna be late for work." But then he has an epiphany that reverberates throughout the fucking universe, where he's like, "Wait a minute, if the world is ending, then that means I don't have to go into work anymore." And then he just smashes through the letterboxing of the movie of the black bars, and he's just like, "I'm free."
You're all free now.
It's funny we mentioned Shaft being listed in the credits because I remember when I saw the blood being all these different colors, it reminded me. The first thing I thought of was Shaft because I thought of Monogatari, and I thought of specifically in like Bake Monogatari where there's a fight scene with
Kanbaru.
yeah, the Kanbaru fight scene, and it's just like, and the reason that they did that, I mean, it's like it changes colors over and over again between like the reds and the blues and all that.
All right, that one.
But it was like born out of a need to censor it because it's like a lot of blood, and the way they got around it was just like, well, if we just change the colors a whole bunch, then we can show the guy get his intestines
Well,
ripped out. It didn't really matter.
I don't think it was censorship per se, because Nisa Monogatari went ham with the blood in the one.
Well, even Nisei though,
fight
that,
scene
if
with
you look at the
one
Blu-ray
dude.
difference, they'll
Oh well, yeah. That was more so because of they ran out of time to make the scene because Shaft is
yeah, they do
a
that.
horribly mismanaged studio. But yeah, like I mean, I've seen the fight scene probably 10 times.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I love it.
Love that scene.
But yeah, I do get where you got that memory from.
That core memory
Uh,
activated.
Core memory, yeah. The entirety of Monogatari is a core memory for me at this
It's
point.
fair. It's
But
fair.
anyway,
I'm thinking that this
yeah,
one's gonna
yeah,
be.
overall,
I don't know. I think it's gonna be more like because it is a new studio, but it's sort of like we're just saying, definitely industry talent. A lot of people who've been around the block. It reminds me of like Mushoku Tensei, how that was formed by.
I was actually
Oh
gonna
yeah,
bring that
yeah.
up. It does
Studio
remind
Bind.
me
It's
of,
all like the White Fox.
yeah.
Veterans.
It's gotta be like Bind.
Yeah,
2.
exactly. So I don't think it's gonna run into the problem where it's like by episode 4, show's mid, looks pretty eh. I think it's gonna look good and it's gonna stay good.
oh yeah, can't
Yeah,
wait
my
for
bet
it
is
to get
it's-
that
it's
uncle
episode
from
2 is gonna be the
another
bar.
world treatment. Woo! Can't wait for episode 12 to come out in July 2024. But yeah. I think this did a great job of accentuating the emotions of the manga and making me care far more than I did while reading that way back when. I remember this being way more captivating.
This is the best kind of anime adaptation, the one that elevates the manga to a point that it couldn't reach on its own.
Honestly, I think it's mostly just the use of color.
I think it's the color. I think the
I'd say the
soundtrack's pretty
direction.
good
This is
too.
one of the best first episodes, definitely one of the best directed episodes of anime of the year, and maybe even of the last couple years.
Like one of the things that I noticed that I absolutely loved the use of was the chromatic aberration at the edges of the screen to help give this feeling of offness and off-puttingness.
There's so many great shots, just of him like slapping himself in it, coming out of bed, and then immediately match cutting it to his bathroom as he's splashing himself.
Yeah, all the
with water.
transitions were just like I couldn't look away.
Yeah.
It got me.
The episode has this amazing sense of flow where it feels very cinematic compared to what most anime feel like. It
It's-
feel well, like Cultured Crusader was saying, almost like an anime movie.
It's the best kind of first episode of any TV show where the first episode should kind of almost act like not just like a pilot for the series, but also a short film that could work on itself. Like if there was no extended series and the show just ended at episode 1, like this would be a top tier short.
Yeah,
film.
I kind of
I
I
think
agree.
there is a live action movie being made for Zom 100.
Is there actually?
Yeah, let me double check that, but I think that's a real thing. Yup, it's
I
a
would not
real
be
thing.
surprised.
There is 2 weeks ago, Netflix put out a trailer.
Oh my, Netflix. All right, not inspiring too much confidence. In
It'll sit up right up there with the One Piece live action series. But I adore the thesis statement of the show that Akira's outlook on life and mood is so drastically improved and happier in this nightmarish life or death zombie apocalypse just versus the doldrums and the suffocating abuse of the corporate world speaks volumes on how fucked our current situation is.
Yeah,
where the zombie apocalypse can be seen as a better alternative to some.
It doesn't take until you're near death to realize what it means to truly live.
Now, I'll be honest. I mean, it reminded me of my time in high school when I had to think about college and career going forward, and I was kind of like,
That shit's a nightmare.
I was kind of like, well, I wonder when World War III is going to happen. Is that happening anytime soon? You know, I was sort of banking on
Yeah,
it.
there's a moment where he's just like, if a missile falls on me and kills me, that'd be pretty fucking
Yes,
sweet.
I'll say I didn't think episode 1 was necessarily all that like deep in terms of what it was saying. I thought, yeah, this is mostly what I'd expect a show like this to say. But I think with episode 2, there's just a moment in it where he's just sitting down. It's where it's you're getting the title of the series where he starts to write down all the things he does and just the way that he talks about it. I don't know. I guess I hadn't really thought about it in a while. Where he's just like, what do I really want to do? I like, what's my plan? I got 3 years to maybe do something that I now have all this free time. I can do whatever I want. And he's just trying to figure out things that he wants to put. And he doesn't even get to 100, but it's just like, I don't know. I think like that's what I'm more interested in, just seeing him fill out.
Yeah, he gets so beaten down that he doesn't even know what he wants anymore.
Yeah, like a lot of
life.
his basic things are like, they're just so basic. They're like, okay, that's not
He's
really.
lost his touch with himself.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take the zombie apocalypse to get him to reconnect with his
Real.
humanity and be like, oh right, this is what it means to live.
Yeah, while reading and watching it, I was actually kind of reminded, like, in terms of thematically, of Sankarea. If any of you are familiar
Isn't that
with
the one where he wants to date a
I've
dead chick or something?
Yeah,
I've
Like, I was
never
thinking about, like,
watched
the
that.
main
I've heard-
girl where
I've heard
she-
slightly.
Alright.
To be fair, he wants to date a dead chick too.
yeah, I was thinking
Or
about
at least he
true.
wanted to.
like the main girl Sankarea, and how she doesn't quite realize what it means to live, and it took for her dying to really learn what it means.
I adore the 1-2 punch of him rushing over to his coworker's place during the zombie apocalypse, because we find out in just like in the best kind of soul crushing way that even like the one speck of like hope and light in his time at the production company that he works at, just having this office crush on this really cute girl, is like, oh, by the way, she's actually the CEO's mistress, and whenever he desires, he just fucks her.
Absolutely getting railed, and he can overhear it. Everyone is hearing it.
And it's just, and no one has like the balls or the willingness to put their career on the line to say anything about it.
They don't have
And
enough
it's
balls to talk about how balls deep their their bosses.
And then the 1-2 punch of him as going to the apartment, seeing that both his boss and the crush got turned into zombies, where it's like, all right, boss, you know what? Fuck you. I'm done. I ain't working for your shitty company anymore. I quit. And he pushes him out a window in a moment of triumph, only to try to confess to his zombie crush, only to find out that she became a zombie. And he does confess in a really not like, super tired. I wasn't bawling, but I was like, damn, like that. It's a nice little emotional
It's this-
note to end the episode
Yeah,
off.
it's this idea of like getting everything off his chest in order to start this new life.
Yeah, it lends to the idea of like this would make for the perfect short film if this is like a standalone short film by itself.
I'm gonna be honest.
Speaking of getting
Wh-
things
when I
off,
saw
I
the
got a
chick die,
very
I was
important
happy.
question.
I was like, she's not my type. Thank God.
Interesting.
She's out.
Go on.
But yeah, I got a very important question. So it was very obvious that this coworker and the boss were like, fucking during the entire zombie incident was occurring. So at what point during the zombie transformation process does it become necrophilia?
It depends on how fast they turn.
Depends on if you open your eyes.
I guess that's also true.
True.
Like, at what point does it become necrophilia?
Listen, it can't be necrophilia if the dead body can't consent. Okay.
I think it's probably like when the body becomes cold. That's probably a good indicator. You're in the.
But the
when
body
the
won't
rigor
go
mortis
cold.
sets in.
Listen, a dead body doesn't go cold immediately, and yet it's still fucked up to fuck a dead body.
It's true.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is that we don't know like the source of this zombie outbreak, and that is admittedly the
no,
least
the source
interesting
is
part about the
premarital
show.
sex, and I
Like-
think I can confirm that by the fact that they were having sex when they turned into a zombie.
You're right, they were
That-
the cause.
That would explain why so many people
Exactly.
would turn then. Because
I mean, even in episode 2, you see a couple, okay, and when he comes back to give them some supplies, the couple's dead. I'm saying.
No, they were married.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, yeah.
They were having
fucked
marital
before
I
sex.
think. All right. So patient 0, premarital, but I think once the outbreak happened, just all sex in general. You're done.
Speaking of sex, I'm very much looking forward to when we meet Fit Girl and Blonde Girl.
I
I have no idea what their characters are like. I'm just excited on a aesthetic level.
don't think you'll be meeting Blonde Girl for long, depending on how this anime is paced.
Like won't be
Yeah.
meeting for her for long, as in
She'll-
dies, or
No,
meaning
as
for
in
long
she'll
as in
be
don't
she'll
wait
probably be
long?
introduced in the last 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh, so
Really?
it's gonna be like a Sumi
sh-
situation.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna be in this season for until like the end.
Well, I kind of prefer that they take their time
That is
introducing new characters. I don't want just like one after the other. You know, like give us some time with the new chick, give us some time with the dude, give us some time with the other chick.
Yeah,
I am very
some
much
reason I
looking
feel,
forward to seeing.
is the black-haired girl's name Shizuka?
I think.
Yeah, she's
For some
the
reason
We'll just
that-
call her black hair girl.
Yeah, Shizuka.
Let's
the
call
one
her
in the
Fit
workout
Girl.
clothes. Yeah,
Yeah, she's my crush from this show. No one's ever
I
gonna.
haven't even seen her yet.
she's good.
No, I've seen her. I read the manga. I got to where she
Ah.
was introduced in there.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah. And that is
The show really hit home for me because I, for about a month, was in a almost this exact
A zombie
situation,
apocalypse.
not nearly to this degree.
You were in a zombie apocalypse?
She's patient 0.
No, I was
yeah.
in a toxic work environment
Oh.
where I was putting up with like a bunch of shit in an office space that I tried to convince myself that I could, suck it up and deal with it just like Akira did. But I had the wherewithal to at least get out when I did before I made any like long-term attachments or gave a shit about any of the people there, because it was it was fucking hell on earth, and it made me uber depressed. And seeing a show basically be like, hey, here's like here's a story that screams that like, yeah, the author knows what you're going through, and here's basically you are seen. I felt very seen with this
Yeah,
episode.
basically, here's what would have happened if you had stayed for 3 years.
I would rather have died.
You would have
I
been
mean,
at
hey,
that
Akira
train.
would have
wa-
Akira would have rather died too.
To
so-
put it in perspective, it was a website call center.
Oh, that sounds like hell on earth. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'd rather be poor.
I'd rather be a zombie.
Fair.
Speaking of rather be dead, My Happy Marriage.
Yeah, you got that right.
It's funny because the title's an oxymoron.
Okay, so
Is it?
okay. Also, first of all,
Yeah, there's no
perfect-
such thing.
Oh, okay.
But
No, you're
second
right.
of all, so I have a bit of a story with this anime. So I watched it today, and so it's one of the most popular shows this season, and I saw a big fat 77% on AniList, and I was like, "Hoo boy, that is a pretty good score, not over."
It's got
an 8 or
an
anything, but-
8.1 on Mal.
8.1 on Mal, yeah. So this is a fairly well liked show, and I mean, I'm known for hot takes, but I'm not actually that hot of a taker, I guess.
Mhm.
I tend to
Lukewarm
align
takes
with the
only?
popular opinion. Yeah, lukewarm taker. Occasional hot takes, but mostly just siding with the popular opinion.
He occasionally likes to give, but he will just take all night long.
Exactly. And so and so I was like, okay, this is guaranteed to be a good time. And I watched it, and felt myself wanting to die the more and more I watched it. Because
See, I
this
love media
episode
where I
made me
feel
so
like I'm gonna die.
angry. This episode made me so angry that I went onto the AniList forums and typed up a multi-paragraph long essay on how much I hated the first episode of this show.
Really? Okay.
I can't believe the episode was
despise
so bad it got you to go onto an anime forum.
I don't use the AniList forums that much anymore. But oh my lord, I'm glad they're there so that I can go onto it and just vent from the experience that I've gone through.
See, I love things that make me feel miserable.
It's fair.
Sometimes I
Berserk
do.
is one of my favorite manga ever.
Well,
You
yeah,
don't-
this is
you don't
exactly
need,
like
you don't need the
Berserk.
manga to make you feel miserable. You need everything surrounding Berserk in animation format.
Hey, 97 was good. The movies are fine. 2016 onward. Okay.
Yeah,
Didn't
wasn't
happen.
it cool how 97 adapted the whole story?
They had no budget, okay, and they did what they could do, and I think they should be celebrated for that. The opening is a banger. I don't care if it
Well, you
makes
know
no
what,
thematic sense.
Oh, it's a great
20
theme song.
2016 is a worthwhile successor.
We don't talk about
on
that.
That one didn't
97
happen.
every way.
We don't- We don't talk about going into the 3D modeler, dragging one of the rotators, and just... It's bad.
Just spamming.
We don't talk about Iron Pot, the Dragonslayer.mp3.
Yeah,
Let's not talk about
it's
that.
not good.
But no, I love things that make me miserable.
I like Rent a Girlfriend. That's how you know that I don't sincerely like it, but I enjoy the experience of watching it because it makes me so angry.
Like
I did not
Fair.
enjoy this though.
For example, I rewatched Technolize.
Okay,
I
it's been a minute.
rewatched Devilman Crybaby.
Okay.
I like things that make me miserable.
Did this show make you miserable and did you like it?
Okay, so romance isn't quite my wheelhouse. However, the big difference between this show and other romances is the I can fix her aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Is it like a role play thing? You want to like live that in real life?
See, now here's the thing. Nothing is hotter in a girl than low self-esteem.
Interesting. That's a take,
Girls
that's a
are
take.
cutest when they are sad
Stop him
and
when
crying.
Stop him when he's telling lies.
So
Yo,
when
King,
you
hold
have
on. Let me
a
get
girl,
a towel. He's spitting.
So when you have this girl who is being abused and neglected by her whole family, being broken down as a person who forgets what it means to be happy, you're like, yeah, I can fix that.
I can make her worse.
I mean, hey, I could fix her, but whatever the hell is wrong with her is honestly much hotter.
I mean, yeah.
But see, okay, so the opening of this show, I think, sets the tone for what it's like. Because we open with this. Okay, so I have even more backstory.
No,
Neon
episode
hates
2
the-
is a much better example
I did not
of
watch
the
You could not
tone.
pay me to get that
Episode
far.
1 is misery porn, but then episode 2 is much more of like
generic.
No, episode 2 is
No,
like
no,
a completely
that
different
explains
show.
why I was
almost.
aroused in the
Self-insert
first episode.
rom-com.
it's no, episode 2 is about Mio, the main girl, trying to learn to accept herself and accept her situation. That is
I
what
am
this is about.
cringe, but I am free.
It is
See,
it's about relearning what it means to be a normal person and
that all
to
sounds
accept
so
yourself.
good, but that's so not what I watched because
Oh,
Like,
episode
like
1
you
is meant to make you feel miserable.
it doesn't make me feel miserable in the sense of, oh, I feel so bad for her. The problem is that I can't feel bad for her because the show is so bad. So Neon has this sort of hate boner for Sangatsu no Lion's monologue. And Sangatsu no Lion is my favorite show of all time, so that makes me
It's a
very
really good one.
angry. Ah, hell yeah, fellow Sangatsu.
It's a pretty good 7 out of 10 type show. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But he talks about how pretentious a lot of the monologue is, and a lot of many parts of Sangatsu no Lion is. So when I saw the opening monologue of this show, I knew that Neon just about had a heart attack while watching it, because this girl spends about an entire paragraph saying the cherry blossoms fell onto my face like tears, and it's like 30 seconds of her just saying, "Boo-hoo, I'm sad, and I don't know how it feels to be happy."
That was cringe, but I
But
saw it in
even
your
more-
server. You made it out to be like I was gonna like punch a hole through my monitor from how bad it is. I think Sangatsu's is still worse. Because
How do you think
at-
Sangatsu's is worse? That is
because
insane
at
to
least
me.
my happy marriage is like concentrated, whereas Sangatsu dragged it out for like 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this. So there is, I think, like 20 chapters of My Happy Marriage, and I easily blasted through it in like an hour. So I've pretty much caught up with it for the most part, and
You
yeah, all the monologue stuff, like I guess like that kind of stuff is very much concentrated in the beginning, because after that it's way more focused on the development of the relationship.
But see, the thing that made me cringe so hard at like normally, I tolerate it because I'm a Sangatsu fan and I like a lot of the sort of poetic monologues there. But this felt like it just went so overboard compared to Sangatsu, in my opinion. Sangatsu would like stick to a metaphor. It would like make one metaphor, and that was the point of the monologue. This one just sort of like drones on like Shinkai's old films or something like that. It's like the cherry blossoms and revealing I've never seen the light. And then it shows the cherry blossom tree on fire, but it isn't animated fire. It's like a green screen of
digital
a real
fire
fire.
effects. I was more offended by that than the.
Hold on, I need to
That's what
rewatch
made me
that.
burst out
dialogue.
laughing, because it's the juxtaposition between I'm so artsy and fartsy and cool and I'm gonna spam metaphors, and then, by the way, we used like a real version of a real depiction of fire in our animated TV show.
See, that
made me
that's
die
the definition of pretentious, and like that is the kind of shit that I despise with every fiber of my being.
Yeah, I can tell. Someday we're still doing the Castaway
Thi-
Anyway rant about me getting onto you about your use of the word pretentious. But no, I would actually call this pretentious. I think this is horrendous.
As soon as I saw the digital fire effect, I was like, oh, okay, who's the laughing, joking numbnuts that made this show? And I saw Kinema Citrus and I got sad.
Fuck, I can't find the
Kinema Citrus
legally
made-
torrented episode 1.
Hold on, Neon, you just
Yeah.
I did not know Kinema Citrus
I mean,
made this.
You
Yeah,
say
this-
that, but
I was
like,
like, oh,
we,
okay,
I mean,
this is the
Shield Hero
this
came
is the
out,
Kinema
so
Citrus
I think
B
we know it.
team.
Okay, to
That
be
made- yeah,
okay,
this
Shield
is the
Hero,
Shield
to be
Hero
fair.
team.
Yeah. But even worse than that, right? I can handle a bit of pretentiousness or whatever, but what I can't get into is the way in which this show chooses to get you to sympathize with the main character. So something, once again,
It's just
related
misery
to-
porn.
Well, it's not even that. Okay, I mean, that's part of it, but it's not even that.
It's a Japanese Cinderella with extra cuckoldry.
See, okay, so to
Oh,
draw
yeah,
another
there's a good bit of
Sangatsu no
cuckoldry.
Lion comparison, Sangatsu no Lion doesn't get truly, like, we don't get to the epic tragic backstory until, like, episode 5. And I will forever praise, I mean, I know a lot of people go like, oh, but Sangatsu's too slowly paced. I will forever praise the decision
And they're
on
right.
their, I will kill you. I will forever praise the decision to save all the backstory and sob story stuff until
Oh, I just
episodes
rewatched
5
The
and
Fire.
6.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because, by that point, you know the characters and, you can take it seriously. You're in the headspace to take it seriously. But this show just sort of dumps it on you. But even more than that, everyone who's beating up on her feels less like a human being and more like a cardboard cutout caricature whose sole purpose
It's Japanese
is
Cinderella.
Oh, they
to be
absolutely are
as
cutout
mean
characters.
as possible. And it's like, to draw another weird comparison, the Dursleys from Harry Potter, even they felt more natural than this because they had at the very least a reason for hating Harry. Obviously, it's very a little cartoony and hard to take particularly seriously, even though it is literal child abuse. But let's not focus on that. They at least there was the explanation of them not liking magical people. and Dursley was like the spoiled kid. I cannot tell you for the life of me why the main girl's family, or I guess adoptive family, hates her so much. There's this one line of dialogue where her adoptive mother says, "That's too good for someone like you with no redeeming qualities." And I had to screen cap that and just sort of like, I posted it in my server and just like kept on laughing to myself at how contrived it felt for it to it'd be like, every sentence needs to have a sting at the main character. Eh, But
Well,
like,
obviously, Crunchy, you did not pay enough attention to the synopsis of the show on Mal, where it said that Mia was born in a family of psychics with no powers.
But actually, that's another point I want to talk about. I did
Okay,
not.
so-
I did not read the synopsis. I just watched episode 1, and
I did not read the synopsis either.
I get what you're saying about it sounding pretentious, or going a little too heavy with it, making people sound like caricatures and not real human beings. I just got done rewatching Elfen Lied from way back in the day, and that was like my biggest
Oh,
complaint
God.
of that show, because I was like, none of these people.
Then you can watch the video about it on your
If
channel
you
right
want
now
to.
in the link below.
But my biggest complaint was really just like, this is so like gratuitous and excessive, and nobody acts like this, and you're just trying to do this for shock value, and you're trying to get to these moments. So
I fucking adore the kids beating up on the dog with a vase. And
I still like that show. I'm just saying, like, I have my problem. with it.
like,
Wait,
point
you're saying
me.
you've never seen kids beat
into
up a dog with a vase?
I've never seen elementary like kindergartners.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah, no, but that's the thing.
it's
It's
like
like,
it's comical.
yeah,
it's like the comical levels of misery that they have to put the main.
yeah,
character
exactly,
through.
exactly. So with this one, I didn't feel like it got to that point, so I was willing to just kind of go, all right, I guess they hate her, sure, whatever. We'll do a little bit of the Cinderella
Well,
stuff.
my
But like, no, but episode 2, that's when it gives like the revelation of her lack of powers, and I was like, it starts to explore the world more, because I was under the assumption this was just like Japan, like normal Japan, or like a little.
Yeah, episode
Yeah, it's
one
almost like
does
they
not
didn't
bring
hint
that
at it
idea
at all.
Yeah.
And they
at all.
just drop it on
Yeah,
you.
it just shows
See,
up. And you're like, wait a minute, people have
here's-
like magic powers. They can use
See,
like
I
wind
got
magic
this
and fire magic. And I was like, what?
See, I sort of on the rant I made in the Annulist forums, I was like, there might be another explanation for why they hate her, but if there is that explanation, why not show that first thing? Because when you watch episode 1 in real time, it feels very much like they aren't even real people and that they just hate her for no reason. And you could save a lot of me laughing hysterically if you could just show why they hate her first.
I'm gonna
maybe,
disagree
like,
slightly.
I thought
It's-
the
it's-
synopsis was gaslighting me into thinking there was magic.
Yeah,
in the
I'm glad I
show.
didn't read it, but I'm gonna disagree slightly and say they didn't need to show the exact reason, but I think they should have done a better job explaining that there was
Here,
a
you
reason.
can imply the reason.
At least establish that magic exists.
Yeah, that was. They probably should do that. Just like open
Yeah.
up a scene with someone
just
using
like
magic.
imply. You can even like imply that there is another reason. You can have the main character say, oh, they act like they hate me for this reason, or that there's something wrong with my character.
Right.
But I know the real reason. That alone would have been enough to like at least mostly justify it to me, because then I would be like, okay, so there's something more here. I will reserve my judgment and I will buy into the main character's sadness. But because they don't add that in early on, I'm just like, well, how am I supposed to take this seriously?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, but it didn't. I don't know. I was able to hold on and believe. I trust the plan. I was a big trust the plan guy, and I trust the plan.
I've seen too many anime to trust the
That's
plan.
fair.
Okay, I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate here. So you're all saying there is no such thing as people like this who are just straight up just genuine pieces of shit.
No,
I'm
there
not
is
saying
some-
they don't
yeah, it's not-
exist. I'm saying when you have the opportunity to tell a story, where you have the ability to inject a little thing called nuance.
But like straight up, there are people who are just cartoon villains in real life
No, that
who just neglect their children.
I know
for
that there
no
are cartoon
reason.
villains in real life. There's a SAG after strike going on right now.
I think the point is that if you're gonna have
See-
the cartoon villains, and you're gonna like, if you don't overload it, and I think that's the problem here is that it's so
okay,
overloaded.
I want to draw a comparison because I mentioned this during the Psalm 100 section. That there was something that show got right that another show did not, and this is actually the show. Because in Psalm 100, the CEO of the company is someone you could argue is like comically evil.
True.
But the thing is, we understand his rationale. He is an abusive piece of work, but it's for profits. It's because he doesn't really care for other people. But in this show,
Yeah,
obviously there
Fucking
is a
the girl
reason
is absolutely dependent on the company's bottom line, I assure you.
But like in this show, obviously, like eventually we learn that it's psychic powers. But before we learn that, we just sort of have this disconnect between like they specifically hate her for seemingly no reason. They just constantly gang up on her. It's almost it's like this lack of understanding why they're doing what they're doing.
I think it's a
is
lack of
the issue.
understanding Asian culture. As I understand it, the adoptive mother, whenever there's like a remarriage, they're not pretty
You
people.
mean stepmother?
Yeah, the stepmom. She's not usually.
It's just Cinderella.
Yeah, she's the Western kind of stepmom, basically. It's usually more of a nasty
I
situation.
know someone whose step parent has been very similar to this, and it's like, but you can still communicate why that's the case.
No, I didn't really
You can
have-
communicate that they hate them because they're like not their biological daughter.
See, I just kind of assumed that. My bigger problem was that I didn't get a good sense of why the father didn't like do more to help his daughter, basically.
Because he don't give a
I mean,
shit.
like, yeah,
It seemed like he was just the one who didn't care.
exactly. But I was like, why? I feel like I should know why he doesn't care. I feel like that was an important thing. I was more concerned
That's
about
me
that.
with every single member of the family.
Yeah, but I feel like something you can make a pretty logical assumption. Why is the stepmom like her? Not like her? Evil stepmom trope. Why is the stepsister not like her?
That's,
Same reason.
that's a historically old trope.
Right.
Just the step parent being a piece of shit.
It's more of like with the father. I was like, well, he seems like he's in charge. He seems like he could stop this if he wanted to. So why does he feel so like blasé about it? Why does he not really care? And if that's like the whole point is that he just doesn't care, like that's fine. But does that make a compelling character? Does it make me invested
we
in her
need
arc?
The sad girl sad, so that way in the episode 2 where it finds out that she's actually getting married to like the nicest, most perfect dream guy ever, and they're gonna have the most ideal relationship that the sad, lonely women who watch this type of show yearn for.
I mean, it's fair.
They can pretend that their situation isn't exactly like hers.
Real.
Yeah, overall, I hated this show. I put it on 2x by the end, and it still felt too slow.
Yikes. I liked it more than the isekai.
I saw the childhood friend or like the nice guy come in, and I instantly my cuckle.
Oh yeah,
eyes
no,
were
I
going
knew
full
immediately
blast.
too. I was like, this guy's
Oh,
not.
I knew it.
I was like, oh, you poor son of a bitch.
My genre awareness is too good to know that that guy ain't getting her for
Yeah.
sure.
I would say of all the romance shows this season, like the shows focusing exclusively on romance, this is probably the best one. But even then, like romance isn't my thing.
I disagree.
Uh,
There's one that's coming later that's not even a big fan of, but I would sooner watch that than more of this.
Yeah, I agree. I know which one you're talking about. Overall, not good.
I think it's fine.
But how good was Reign of the Seven
Oh right, you're talking about
Spellblades?
that one. Well, I haven't seen episode 2 yet, so I might have to revise my opinion next time.
But anyway, Reign of the Seven Spellblades. This was one of the 2 very basic fantasy shows of this block, and okay, so I didn't finish the first episode of this one. I did for the other generic fantasy show. This one I got about halfway.
Oh,
through.
you
It was-
poor son of a bitch! You picked the wrong one to finish.
What, does this one mysteriously get good?
No, but there is a moment where the samurai girl bathes in in public in a
Disavow.
fountain.
How dare you?
Okay, so maybe I'll look up that shot specifically.
Bruh.
But otherwise, I do not regret my decision to drop it halfway through the first episode. Because, okay, so first of all, generic looking main character, did not care for his design. And second of all, this show's color palette is terrible. Like, it's astonishingly ugly.
Y'all like bright colored browns?
It's like Digi saying that Attack on Titan is too brown, but actually true.
I don't know. I kind of dug it. I didn't mind it.
You dug this?
Well, I mean, hold on.
Like,
I meant the
color
art. I meant the
palette?
art. It's just on that particular element, I did not bother. The way it looked, I thought it looked fine.
I thought it looked It's not
I
even like
didn't-
the art and animation are terrible. They're very
I-
basic, but that's not atrocious.
I wasn't offended by the production values. I just like, yep, this
It's
is
the colors.
typical.
It's the awful colors to me, and also the main character's design. Which
Yeah, he's
I-
overly generic. I totally agree with that. But
Yeah.
I didn't really mind
Most
the...
characters are generic because you gotta have the character.
Gotta have
You
that
gotta have the
self-insert.
person
I
watching
like-
put themselves as
I will
the main
out myself.
character.
I will out myself. I do like the design of the white-haired glasses book boy.
Interesting.
See, I liked his design well and fine enough, but what infuriated me was when they're all together in a crowd and a bunch of people are talking and he's like, "Shut up, I'm reading." And what it screamed to me was, this guy is the generic bookworm guy. His personality is that he likes reading and he doesn't talk to people that much. This is all his
You are
character.
No, I
will
think
ever
that
have.
applies to
Not far
basically
off
all
at
of the
all.
characters, though, too. The big thing that bugged me was like the main chick. It just like it felt like everything about her design and the way she's introduced and what she does is just the show's like pointing at her and going, "Hey, look, waifu of the season? Question mark?
Here's our mascot
I feel
girl.
like it's trying
Next
too hard.
02, maybe? I don't know. It's like no, it's not.
I like barely remember what happened, and I watched this today.
There was a parade. Spell on the girl.
The
It had a
talked
very
about
brown-haired
chunky
girl is a
dragon.
troll
I did find that
apologist
funny. There's just like she was
and
like
believes in
hashtag not all
reparations.
ogres or whatever, and then it did not end well.
Not all
hashtag
trolls.
It had
How funny is it that okay, so this is essentially like Hermione Granger and Spew from Harry Potter,
Yeah.
where she's like advocating for like troll rights and saying, "Look, guys, they're just misunderstood, bro." They,
and this
you
is
know,
right
we
before
took
Dog
over their
gets
lane,
pulped.
and then guess what? The other people who are racist against trolls are proven right.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Many such cases.
That dog got pulped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the troll.
It was.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It's. I'm not gonna sing its praises. I just think it's generic.
I thought it was
you know?
There's a number of
extremely boring
inappropriate
and
jokes I can
generic.
make that I'm holding my tongue for.
I have no idea how this is gonna develop, how the show is gonna develop. Because honestly, I don't care. I feel like this is a super weak first episode to air
It was very.
because
it was
a third of it
exposition.
is icebreakers.
Yeah, and it's like exposition icebreakers where it was just constant.
Yeah,
like
see,
this
they
is
were
what
just
songs
sitting
are
there
gonna
you
do.
telling
reminded
each
me,
other
the
their
moment
names.
That broke me. That's the exact moment that I clicked off of the episode where the one girl was like, "Hey guys, okay, let's introduce each other."
Dude, I don't do this in
I'm,
real life. You think I'm gonna sit
whatever,
here
let's
and
go
watch
around
the
the
show?
table.
Third of the episode. It
Here's
is
the sharing
terrible
stick.
pacing.
I don't understand why those people specifically were so glued to each other. It wasn't established that they were part of
Because
any
then
group
you
that
can't
episode.
have a story.
Yeah, but it's like
Or
Crunchy,
at
don't
least
you
a
know that every
well-written
time you go to a
story.
school, the very first group of people that you talk to become your friends for life?
I mean, yeah, but first of all, I don't have that many
I
friends.
understand that, but it's like they're all like disparately in this crowd of people at first, and you know it's all, but they're all like, I don't know, like kind of talking to each other.
They're the
but
ones
not
that have
really.
some
and then they
semi-interesting
immediately, like,
designs, therefore
like,
they have
by-
to be friends.
like by the end, by the time they're at the table, they're like all looking for each other as if they know each other, even though they were sort of like just disparately scattered about in this crowd of people.
I mean, they don't know. They barely know anyone else. So what the
True.
fuck else would you do?
Like
Honestly, if I
were
were in that high school situation, I'd do
Yeah,
the
to be
same
honest,
thing.
I'd probably do the
You
same
don't
thing, but I
understand.
wouldn't do
Anyone
the
with a
icebreaker.
unique hair color is a main character, thus they have to talk to each other.
I mean, true.
Those are rules.
Yeah. Overall,
I will
was
say
bored.
that them
Oh, super
passing
boring.
the sharing stick was a very poor way of expediting their exposition, and I do find it hilarious that with all of their introductions, I guess it's a formal thing to do in this magic world to have a magic map
Yeah, that
by
was-
you, and so you can point out exactly where you're
Interesting.
from.
As if we know what that is or where it is.
One thing on the map looked
Actually-
like America, or I was about to say that America's in the world. That shows you my worldview. It showed like
Actually,
I mean,
Jap-
it showed like our world.
I mean,
but, like, it was all, like, messing up.
Japan and to an extent, Magic Asia is in the world.
Yeah,
they
the
they've just
closest thing
replaced
they
the S
said
with a
was,
Z.
"We have Magic Asia."
Yeah, it was.
And the main girl is very clearly supposed to be Japanese, while the other
Okay,
ones are,
I'm
like,
looking at the map now. It is
incarnation of
it
white.
is a like a skewed map of the Earth.
Yeah, I just wrote down in my notes like the Earth, but
Like
scuffed.
Africa is missing because it's Japan and they're xenophobic and they're racist. And like
this might
America's
be a bit
tiny,
of a
South America's there,
pedantic-
Australia.
This might be a bit of a pedantic complaint, but okay, so this shows, I guess, hook. The X factor is that at this magic school, 20% of the people there die. And I'm like, only 20%?
I like my odds.
Yeah, it sounded like they were pretty good odds of surviving. If that was meant to ratchet up the tension, I'm like, I mean, you'd have to be kind of unlucky to die with those
Yeah,
odds, honestly.
Wouldn't it have been so much easier to just be like, what if I just made it like 80% don't make it out alive?
Yeah, like,
and 20%
Just say
succeed?
50.
If I wanted to ratchet up the tension and to make sure that everyone watches this show, I would have it be like,
Yeah,
at
half of
least
you were
half
dead.
half people, yeah, at least half of them die. Everyone is taking this extremely seriously. There's not this instant buddy camaraderie. People are like, okay, how do I survive? How do I study enough to live and learn the art of magic? But instead, it's just like, yeah, 20% of you will die, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I like my chances, honestly.
Yeah, I think they were.
Sounds like you can just live if you don't be stupid.
Yeah, they were trying to make it like seem more dark. It was my understanding. That's what I interpreted it, but they didn't really think about. They were more like, what number sounds good enough to you? 20%? Does that sound good? 50? Nah, 50. We might kill characters we want to see.
Maybe they were
20's
like
good.
trying to keep it realistic to what the society would
Like
like,
allow.
accept. But even
Listen,
then,
20%
could
is so you
just
can
be
kill
like,
off
well, bro,
background
magic-
characters.
Yeah, I think
You- you-
20% is
you
enough to
could
kill the
just
people who don't
be
matter,
like-
and then you can just point to that and go,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, take the show seriously."
There's
and
your
it
20.
stays. Yeah.
To me, it's just like
yeah, it was like if you do like 50 or even 80%, it's like, hey, one of us could, go die from the school.
Right.
yeah. Overall, I thought this was lame.
I think it was hard to take seriously after watching.
Yeah, this episode inspires no confidence.
There were exactly two semi-inspired ideas in this show. One where their swords are also their wands, which I guess is kind of neat. And then the one scene where they go from their orientation to their banquet by the headmaster rotating the building, and the dining room is actually on the ceiling, and they just reverse gravity.
How'd they get in
That-
there
that was
without
kinda
realizing they were on the ceiling?
Who can say?
The virtual insanity.
Damn, you're right.
Overall, the most fun I had watching this episode was when one of the characters said, "That's a Fafnir," and I got flashbacks to Dragon Maid and remembered all the fun times I had watching that show.
Interesting.
Wished I was watching it instead. That was a pretty
The-
fun moment. Not for anything the show did, but for Dragon Maid existing.
I'm gonna sound insane. The fucked up thing about this show is that I like the idea of what it's trying to do. I just think it's in this show is executing it in the most generic and bland way possible.
Oh yeah, if you read the synopsis on Mal, it makes it sound way more interesting than it actually
Like,
is.
I read the synopsis.
I really like the idea of 6 people from all walks of life coming together as friends in a magic academy. And the way they are introduced themselves is fucking hysterically stupid, but there are some moments later in the episode.
It's
even in that little
literally
banquet
show don't
scene
tell.
where-
It breaks that rule up front immediately.
yeah, where they do kind of have a little bit like a spark of chemistry, and they do kind of bounce off of each other, like how the red-haired dude is a vegetable farmer, and the bookworm guy hates vegetables, so he starts getting on his case for that.
Yeah.
And I know you said that Nanao, the samurai girl, was like, they're definitely trying to make her be like, hey, here's our fun waifu mascot character for the show that you want to buy figures and merch for. I'd be lying if I said I didn't find her at least a tiny bit endearing.
Yeah, she's all right.
Hey, you
I'm
want a $200
I'm a sim-
figure of this girl,
I would not buy a figure
and
of
then
her,
a
but
$250 of the white hair edition,
You see, I literally thought that that's
that-
why they did it. It's just you can have two versions.
so
you
they can sell more figures.
Yeah.
You can.
it is ingenious. I'm a simple man. I see a girl character pick up a whole plate of roast beef, being told, you're supposed to pass that around. That's gonna feed all 6 of us, and then her saying, "What? Really? I could eat this whole thing myself." And I'd be like, that is fun.
I don't know. I
But
just like
I will
girls
not
with
be
white hair.
continuing
It's
the
good look.
show.
But you want to know what isn't fun. Classroom for Heroes.
Hell
I'm gonna
yeah,
keep it
you're
real,
right.
As soon as I saw the main character's design, I was just like, I got nothing. Like I think I mentally flatlined throughout the rest of that episode.
Okay, so I watched the entirety of this episode, and I felt like almost a pulse. I don't even want to say there was a pulse, but it threatened to have a pulse, and that actually put it above the previous one, in my opinion. But okay, so the idea for this show is that the ultimate villain and the ultimate hero, they get into some fight, and then I guess he somehow gets like reborn as a combination of the two, to my knowledge, something like that. The fight was boring, and I tapped out. But after that point, I won't say things got interesting, but his whole
Because they didn't.
idea is, well, yeah, but his whole idea is, I want to make all the friends. And at first I was kind of like, okay, you know what? That's a pretty admirable goal. I like that. I can see this going kind of not insufferable places. The issue is this guy is a next level Gary Stu to an almost comical degree.
It's hilarious.
Actually, yes, a
how-
comical degree.
It's
It
it's
almost
hilarious.
feels intentional. Where okay, so he like he's told to like cut this piece of armor in half because he needs to like prove his strength to the generic tsundere.
Oh, I bet you
And
can't do this
so-
shit, pussy.
So he like cuts it in half, but the problem is it explodes and the wind not only knocks almost everyone over, but cuts the tsundere's clothes.
Yeah, that stuff was hilarious. Like I was just
That's how you
laughing
know
at
we're
this
dealing
show
with
at how
geek.
gratuitous
wa-
it
I
was.
was- Dude, the tsundere. Okay, so here
I thought it was very bold for them to censor the nipples by just not having them exist.
Oh
when-
yeah, that was
near
that
the
was
end of the
hilarious.
episode where yeah, she fights the demon in her sword and then like falls out of the sky from the big fire explosion that burns up all her clothes. There's a point where you could clearly see her tits that before her hair falls in front of them, and where the nipples would be. Are
I
just
know the shot
gone.
you're talking about.
They've been sanded off, or nipples just don't exist in this world.
Let's be real. This show would have gotten a lot more attention if there were actual nipples.
Probably, but
Because
See,
yeah.
outside of that, like as much as I like redheads, that bitch needs to shut up.
yeah, there's nothing redeeming about
This-
her or really.
Her
This-
name is Ernest Flaming.
What a
God-awful man.
beautiful. That's a Nisio Isan ass name right there. But
Mhm.
anyway, see, like fan service is clearly being used as a crutch here, and I'm a far cry from someone who's against fan service. I'm into Monogatari. I like Dragon Maid, but the difference between Monogatari
I
and
counter with
Dragon Maid
Monogatari
is that
has no
those had
fan service.
actually good characters. You don't have the right to include fan service until your characters have proven themselves to be well written. Until you've done that, I don't even want to see it.
Until your characters are
what's the point?
actual characters.
Yes, until they're actually
Until
good
then, they're
characters.
just an OC.
Then I can sexualize them.
Yeah, I was not a
Yeah,
fan of the
so,
main
like-
character. I thought he was annoying, constantly reintroducing himself as some kind of joke that did not land at any point.
I actually found that kind of endearing.
No, I hated him. I wanted him to die. I hated
Listen,
how
I think
I
wanting
wanted the
friends
redhead
is for
to die.
bitches.
fair.
Because
I wanted everyone. In
Listen,
the show
friends
to
would just
die.
lower his intensity as a human.
That's a good statement though.
beautiful.
I love that. That's quality writing. This is just like generic garbage trash. Like every trope you can think
It is
of
extreme.
is here. You got the self-insert Gary Stu MC. He goes to this school, and who's the top student? Some hot chick that no one wants to talk to apparently because they're scared of women. I guess
Who has problems that get
She got-
solved that episode.
immediately solved.
That made me so
Her
mad.
arc is
Okay,
done. She's no longer
So-
a character.
Well, it's because we got to move on to the next one.
You're right.
So
You're right.
here's-
This is a
We gotta
harem.
build the harem.
It is a harem.
Don't forget
When
that. This is a harem.
Oh, it's a harem.
Yeah,
Yep,
we
if you
gotta
go
move
on
to the
Mel, it's
next one.
tagged as harem.
Oh,
So next episode, we're gonna see another
killing
girl who's
myself.
gonna have issues, and then we're gonna solve them,
When
and
is
they're
the-
gonna be forgotten.
And we're gonna get that blue-haired Kudere ninja girl naked. No
I gotta ask,
matter
like,
what.
hell yeah.
I had a
So-
moment watching this where I was thinking the same thing when I watched Naruto, except I actually like it in Naruto. What year or world is this supposed to be exactly? Because I was under the assumption it was like, just fantasy, generic kind of fantasy stuff. And then
It's 20xdx.
yeah, you got like robots and people with IVs and nurses. I was like, what is this world? Like, there's no thought into it. It's just we're making a dumb little harem, and now we're gonna make stuff that's makes for good outfits. Maybe I don't know. Whichever way.
If you
things
don't
are
know, it's
figured.
always 20xdx.
Apparently.
See, I was watching this girl's arc, and she's talking about how she got that demon in her that's telling her to do all the bad things.
She got that dog.
That
Oh,
osmosis.
no, this ain't a new Kaisen's dog, Neon. Don't remind me. But see, I had this idea for some reason while watching. I guess I was just so bored and tapped out that I started thinking of like an actually good show, Monogatari. I know Neon will contend to that.
I
but
love that show.
All right, put
Hear
a
me out.
put
The
a,
best anime.
a,
because-
a tally mark for every time Monogatari is
I
mentioned.
was gonna say.
Oh yeah,
I think
I
we
was
all
gonna
love
say,
it.
can we
In the
go
double digits,
one
maybe
show
triples?
this podcast without
Yeah, I
mentioning
love- that's my favorite
Monogatari?
anime.
No, I'm gonna mention it each time now that you've said that. But no, the reason why it reminded me of it, I guess I wouldn't even say reminds me of it because nothing about the show itself reminded me of it. But I thought of it because in Monogatari, something like this would be like an actual metaphor for their psychological hangups. I'm imagining a version of this character who's like a genuine psychopath, right?
Mhm.
Who has trouble with empathy and who has to like actually fight these urges, and it's like manifested through this sword in a way. And so
Just
that
like me.
yeah,
For real,
just
for
like,
real.
just like me for real. And so by solve, it would be like a multiple episode long arc, maybe 3 or 4, kind of like a Monogatari arc, and we'd like actually learn something about the character, about her like fighting this urge inside her that's sort of like been there from the beginning that that she doesn't want to succumb to. And that could have been like a really interesting way to portray that character and to get to know her and to like actually care about her. But instead, we're reduced to generic demon sword who makes you want to do the bad things, and it gets solved by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a chance to care about her. That to me was just such a wet fart. Of
The
an ending,
fact
I
that
was
her
like,
arc is done that episode is hilarious. It's so bad.
it's horrible.
She will now be forgotten until the final episode where she becomes the main girl again.
Well, no, she becomes hinted at being the main girl, so we can get a season 2, and then maybe
Oh,
she'll
you're
be.
right.
the main
I
girl
think
then.
she'll forever be the main girl,
Never
but she has to
commit.
compete now
Just
with
hint.
all of the fresh meat.
I mean, she's a tsundere, so her chances of becoming the main girl are higher than usual.
It's true.
Listen, if you
well,
see
also
the
she's the
tags
first
etchy
girl,
and
so she's
harem,
the
just
main
fucking
girl.
run.
Yeah.
And this is a show that that follows those rules.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah, I got nothing. I mentally flatlined throughout the whole
Yeah.
episode.
To be honest, I basically gave up after 5 minutes, seconds. I'm not sure, but I watched it all the way through. And I was like,
I did
I
give
was
up-
like, I'm dropping this. I'm
I
not
gave
watching
up
it.
after 5 seconds. I watched it all the way
I
through.
watched it all the way through.
I-
On my phone. a little
I
bit.
didn't give up until I saw that her arc was literally over that episode. That was when I said
That
I
w-
will never watch.
That was the
this
end of the episode.
Yeah, it was the end of the episode. I wouldn't say I had faith in it being good, but I almost had faith in it being a more watchable than average 4 out of 10 to like very low. Not even a very low 5, like a more watchable than average 4 out of 10. I had that much faith, and then I saw that her arc was over in one episode, and I was like, this is utter garbage.
Yeah, like listen, I've watched at the entirety of every first episode of these shows we're gonna talk about because I ain't no bitch
Same,
made
same.
coward who will stop midway through.
I
And,
dropped a lot of episodes. after
More
5
often than not
minutes.
during this, I was regretting that decision.
I can imagine.
Yeah, that's why. When you've done it as many times as me and Neon, you have a tendency to drop all the isekai in 5 minutes.
I used to have
Those
a
are the
problem
words
with
of a
dropping.
coward.
I would never drop shows, and then like just
Those are the words of a coward.
Yeah,
I-
it's-
I dropped shows quicker and harder than I was as a child.
tragic.
Yeah, once you like unlock that mental barrier, in
Oh
your
yeah, I'm
mind,
dropping
it's
them
like,
left and right now.
I can just walk away from a TV show and never have to like watch it anymore.
And I was like, wait a minute,
I-
shows
well,
are supposed to be
wouldn't drop it
entertaining.
midway through an
It's like
episode.
ascending into a
Force
new
myself.
plane.
I'll wait until I hit credits to drop it.
Mm,
Now sometimes I'll just make it 5 minutes, and if I I'll skim. I'll start like, skipping around in the episode.
I'll
and
wait
then
till halfway.
If sometimes I'll just flat
More
out
often
close
than not,
the tab.
I'll like get. The story for a lot of shows this season was get 5 minutes in, put on to 1.5 or 2x speed, get a little ways further in, either tap out or barely finish it.
Yeah.
That's the crunchy cycle. You have to be a Zom 100 to keep my attention on 1x the whole time.
Well, speaking of shows that may or may not have maintained attention, Crusader, as the resident good Christian Discord server owner among us, I feel like you should be the one to introduce Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence.
Oh yeah, it's okay. All right. So basically, it's a show. All right. Now stay with me here. About this girl who's a saint, and she has a crush on her little priest guy. Denominational wise, I'm still a little up in the air on this one. There's a lot of crucifixes. I made me
Vaguely Christian.
vaguely Christian. I was gonna go in the Catholic direction, but I'm like, well, priests can't.
It
get
is a
married.
church, so it's
It is
you
a
know.
church, and they got the saints. But I'm thinking more so probably an Anglican church. I can't confirm that, but I'm gonna go ahead and just say that alternate universe where the Anglican Church has taken over. I don't know if this is England, but no, it's like a little. It's one of those. I guess you could call it slice. It's not really slice of life, is it? There's just it's like a romance, but like
It's one of those anime.
It's one of those
you call,
feel-goods.
I want to simulate having a dependent submissive uwu hoodie.
yeah,
GF
it's one of those.
fantasy.
I'm in my bed at night asking God to play that dream again, where I'm happy. You know, one of those.
That's so accurate.
And, like I'll be honest.
That's
I
too real.
don't usually like these kinds of shows. I'm more of a never quite left the edgy arc. Maybe I don't know. I like a little more action, a little more violence, a little more.
I too am an edgy bitch.
Yeah. So when I was watching this, I was like, this is more like wholesome-y, warm feeling. I'm not sure, but I'm glad I didn't really give up on it. I think about maybe a third of the way through, I was just kind of vibing to it. I was like, it's nothing special. I'm not gonna sing its praises too much, but I think there's something to be said at the very least. The main girl, she's very modest in appearance. Okay, she's humble.
I
She's virtuous.
adore her
Yeah, I really
design.
like
Listen,
her.
I don't know what you're talking about because it got pretty sexual during that 3-minute conversation where they're talking about getting wet in the rain.
Hey. That was a nice wholesome moment.
I
don't
didn't.
know.
I didn't.
They
get
do
that
hold hands
far
at
in
one
it,
point, which is
honestly.
very.
It's
very
true. I'm not gonna say it
She
pushes
was
boundaries.
drenched.
It pushes boundaries.
And so was I.
I kind of appreciated the whole religion aspect of it. I guess not even that I am religious, but I don't know. It's an interesting.
Praying God forgives you
aesthetic.
for being a heathen.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, but no, she's even got the prayer shawl on.
It's true. Oh, listen,
I was getting
Big trad life
flashbacks
energy.
Dude, I cannot.
to my
I
time in
cannot
the church.
understate how 10 out of 10
Yeah,
her design
I'm a
is.
fan.
It is a great character design. And actually, that was one of the things that told me that this show was going to be more watchable than usual. But I admittedly did not finish the first episode.
Sad.
Not even because it was as awful as some of the things we talked about earlier. Because it's better than My Happy Marriage. It's better than that.
It's
And I
fair.
finished that first episode.
Yeah, this show is if you like fluffy
yeah.
and you're just like, I just
The
want to
thing
sit down
is-
and have a fluffy time for like 30 minutes and then
See, I like Fluffy. I
And
like
unwind.
Azumanga
myself back to my
Daioh and
lonely
Onimai and
existence.
Yu Yushiki. But when I like Fluffy, it's usually funnier. I did not get a single laugh out of it.
Yeah.
when I
this is
watched up the
fluffy
show.
romance.
You're not
Romance,
supposed to
though.
Well,
laugh,
I mean, the
Crunchy.
thing-
You're supposed to look at the cute green-haired, soft uwu girl and go, "Oh my god, I wish she was my girlfriend so bad." Getting constantly flustered, kicking her legs in anticipation,
Dude, if
having
she, if
chicken
she was my
nuggies made for
girlfriend,
her.
we'd get in arguments about religion. I don't want to date her.
Listen, the difference between
Well,
something like
wait,
Azumanga
Crunchy, how could
Daioh-
you possibly get in arguments with religion about her when her talking with angels is like living proof that it's real?
But the
I mean,
difference
hey,
with something
what
like
can I say,
Azumanga
bro?
Daioh-
The cognitive dissonance on us atheists. We just shut our eyes to it, bro.
I'll give you a hint. You can just cite Timothy, which says that women have no authority to speak on spiritual matters. Boom. You don't even have to engage.
Which was
That's
based.
why there's no women here.
Babes.
Hey.
Yeah, there has never been a woman on the podcast.
and there will never be at this
Whether
rate.
that has been on purpose or just pure coincidence and circumstance,
God's plan.
the world
The
may
Lord
never
works in
know.
mysterious ways.
It is God's plan.
No, I guess there's also like the main gimmick of she's got like, as any woman, very typical. She's got multiple personalities, bipolar. So when she's with the people, she's very
And unrequited love for the one man.
Right,
in her
right.
She
life.
puts on a front in front of others.
yeah. She could get any guy she wants, but she chooses the guy who's devoted himself to someone else. Okay, average woman. Anyways, but so her main kind of like personality trope thing. I don't know what you call it exactly, but she acts all very refined and prestigious in the company of the peasants, being their model saint. Because I guess in this world, the saints aren't dead yet. They're just walking around, and I guess I can't remember if they said they're born saints or if you just kind of become one exactly, but you sort of know who they are.
I did not pay enough attention to the,
Listen,
plot for that. All
like
I
I
remember
said-
is that one day she like wandered into the village. I
think
remember if she was like a poor girl who
in
enrolled
the
into sainthood. It was
intro,
just always the same.
I think I was trying
It
to.
said that saints are supposed to protect the people, and the people are supposed to protect the saints.
Right,
So,
right.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, but regardless, so she acts, one very good way around them, and then when they're not looking, she starts to be lazy and slacks off and all that. And the priest guy is very overbearing on not wanting her to get hurt in any way, not wanting her to be harmed. So he's
See,
constantly taking care
if-
of her.
I feel like this show could have been like watchable and even like great to me if they completed the dynamic, if they made me invested in both characters in said dynamic. But the main guy, first
Unfortunately,
of all, his
the
design
pastor is a John
is-
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his design is
because he's
awful.
got to be like me for real, for real.
I think he's got like
And
slightly
in
purple
the
hair.
amount of the
As
show
with
that I
every
watched,
main guy.
he had no. I mean, like you said, he was overbearing, but it wasn't.
He wasn't like an
too- I mean,
antagonistic
He kind of
overbearing,
played the
yeah.
basic everyman,
Yeah.
basic dude, just some
My,
guy.
my biggest
It's like,
compliment
no,
for
I
him
don't
is
want
that
to watch
he's.
some guy. I want to watch a cool guy or a funny guy or a weird guy.
I will say he's
Like,
not.
any. I'm shoehorning it in here. Any Monogatari character. There we go. I'm keeping this going each and every show.
There's another tally.
At least he's not
Oh yeah,
a
it's gonna be
useless simp.
filled
That's
with-
my
the,
my
the
biggest.
board is gonna be full by the
My
end.
biggest praise is that he's not a useless simp. Okay, he can do tasks. He's better than her at cooking. He's better than her.
He
at,
is a simp, but a simp for God.
true, real.
True.
But like he doesn't. I guess he's one of those like aloof. I have no idea. Women be like, what? What is love? I don't understand. Why does she want to talk to me? Kind of thing. And if you're not really into that, then you're just gonna be annoyed with him. I didn't mind him as a main character. I mean, I'm not watching it for him. I don't really care about him. I think nobody really
did
cares about him. You
not
just watch it for the
like-
chick. So in that regards, she's good.
The dude's just
I
a
don't-
trophy
I don't
husband. Let's be real.
watch, I don't watch anime just for there to be a cute girl on screen. I mean, I do.
If I
but
wanted
I
that,
need,
I would
like,
just
a
go to like
fun
Pixiv and look
dynamic
up porn.
with it. Yeah, exactly. Like there needs to be something more, some reason why I partake in these cute girls instead of all the other ones. Like why do I care about this character instead of anyone else? And for me, a lot of that comes from character dynamics. This show threatens to have one, but it doesn't quite have an interesting enough one because they just said girl. Okay, wait, hold on. We forgot the guy. Hold on. What's his personality? Quick, we need to come up with it on the spot.
He's a
'Cause
trophy
we didn't
husband.
put any thought into it.
See, I think it would have
Yeah,
been
trophy husband, perfect.
Yeah, I think it would have been okay if they actually made this like a Catholic couple and made instead of her being a saint, she was a nun and he was an actual priest. Because then it's like you have like the whole chastity
That
thing going in.
actually would have.
And there would be more drama.
I completely agree. I had that thought during the like while watching it of like, honestly, I think I would straight up be able to watch that show even if I didn't like the main guy because it reminds me of back when I did go to church and those memories aren't all bad.
You don't understand.
I
that
could partake in
requires
some nostalgia.
nuance and writing and an understanding of character.
It's true.
That required the
And
Japanese knowing
Who
what
needs
Christianity
all
And
that?
that's
when
what
we
the
have
bigger
that
ass.
that
cute
takes away
green-haired
from the
saint
goal
anime
of
girl.
sweet and fluffy shit.
I don't think the Japanese know that priests can't get married because even in Fate, like Kiriko Tamine, he's got a wife and he's a priest. And I was like, aren't you supposed to be Catholic? I don't understand how this works. But no,
Well, I don't give a damn about no rules. You God himself could not pull me out of
that's
this.
fair. disgusting. No, I
You will not pull out. You heard it here first. He said that.
real.
Nah, not out of her.
Yeah,
She
to
is
all the
100%.
women listening
Yeah,
to
he
the
will not
podcast,
pull out. That's
remember
what he
that
said. You
Neon
can go
said
back.
this. Hold it against him for the rest of his life.
Will never pull out.
Just
Not
know
even-
that
not-
about Neon.
Character now.
Not even God himself can get him to pull out.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
This is the kind of show where it's cute, it's fluff, and I look forward to seeing all of the reaction images that Crunchy
Yeah,
will
there's gonna be a
use,
lot of those.
from the show in his future videos.
Not gonna lie, the one thing I liked most about it is like the backgrounds.
Interesting.
Like I was staring at the backgrounds.
They were
way
some
more
pretty
often.
backgrounds.
That's pretty.
They looked like picture books.
They're soft
Yeah,
and pink.
I think that's kind of the vibe. It's not like a turn your brain
Is
off,
this
don't
the
think
show-
about
are-
it sort of thing, but it's
I'm
like the
trying
same
to
vein of
remember
that.
what this show's backgrounds are like, because there was one show that I hated the backgrounds of. I'm not.
This
a
one
hun- I
looked
don't
like a
think
picture
it
book.
was this one?
Let me
No,
get
this
you a
one was one of the
screenshot.
other ones.
Celia. No, I'm
It's
looking
probably,
it up. It's
what,
okay.
I've got a
Most Heretical Last
screenshot.
Boss, maybe. Am I the strongest?
It's 2 megabytes. There you go. That's what the show looked like.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't like?
I wasn't too big on them, honestly.
Interesting.
It looked like the characters and the backgrounds were from entirely different shows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
fair.
disparate.
He
art
doesn't even
styles.
look like he belongs in the world that
It's
he
that,
inhabits.
but unironically. I was like, I like the backgrounds in isolation. I do not think it fits with the characters.
That's fair.
If the characters were drawn in a different way, then the show would look
Yes.
a lot better. But
Exactly.
you know, more often than not, I'm looking at the backgrounds because I thought they just looked nicer.
you guys watch
Dude,
The Legend of Korra?
For the longest... the Legend of what?
Legend of Korra?
I did not.
Because it just reminded me of a critique of that show. There's like a specific segment where they go back to the past and they change the art style, but it's only for the backgrounds and some of the creatures. But like the character models are the same ones that they use for like the future, so it just feels like all mishmashed. Like if you were gonna do it, then commit, really have new, interesting designs that fit this style that you're going for, because otherwise it just doesn't look right. So I kind of see what you're saying with that, but I didn't mind it. I don't know. I didn't think it was as bad as that.
I didn't like it particularly, and I just need to say this about this Waka on the whole. Like most of these shows just don't look that great. There's not any
Except for
awful
Zom.
looking
Zom
that I
100, the
remember.
exception.
Zom
Yeah,
100
outside
is
of
the
that,
exception. Yeah,
I
like,
think the
outside
best-
of that,
I think
They
the
just all
best
look the
description you
same.
could give is these shows look efficient.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
They do not look bad per se, but there's nothing about them interesting or
They
striking
all look
in
like
any
Silverlink
way.
shows.
Yeah, they're
They all
yeah.
look.
Once we hit the string of isekais,
If
we'll get into
you
shows
close
that
your
look like
eyes
ass.
and picture
But if you
generic
close your
anime,
eyes-
it's that.
Yeah, it's got its nice little certified corporate seal of approval. Like, this is good enough
Nothing
for shareholders.
horrible about them for the most part. We'll get to that later, but like but there's nothing about it that is like, oh, this is great. No, it's fine, I guess.
And that can be applied to our next show, Helk, although unlike most of the other shows, I feel like I am confident in saying we are back to talking about good
Yeah,
shows.
I liked it.
I was.
This is one to
shocked.
recommend.
Yeah. So around this point in my anime binge, I was losing faith in anything in this season being actually good ever again.
Sad.
And then I saw Helk, and Helk was like having life. I was given CPR after having a heart attack and dying. It was like,
Helk was
yes,
like,
finally.
hey, did you miss? Hey, can you not wait for Mashal season 2? Well, here's Diet Mashal, but still pretty good.
See, if this show had better production values, I think it would be like an instant like 8 out of 10. Like, oh hell yeah, I'm continuing down this forever because. So the entire premise of this show is that the Demon King's army has lost. They've been pushed back, they're on the brink, and so they're like, okay, we need to get a new Demon King, because their old Demon King died. So they have this contest. However, the person who gets into the contest is not a demon, but rather a human. The hero that killed the Demon King in the first place.
You're wrong.
At first, they think anyway.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because after a certain point, it's revealed that it's actually the brother of the guy who killed the Demon King.
All right, just
You know,
making
she's
sure
like-
you did not.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
no,
just reading the
I
synopsis
picked up
now
on
for
that,
the first
but
time. I didn't even watch it.
Making sure that you have your media literacy goggles on.
Yeah, because the main that's what the main girl thinks at first, which is the misconception. Because obviously, you know, you watch the entire episode knowing that the girl is wrong about Helk and that the guy actually does want to, destroy all the humans. But she's under the impression that he, wants to kill all the humans. Bro,
yeah,
he's
that
the
she
one
thinks
who
that
killed
he's
the demon
trying to
king.
infiltrate.
Yeah, and so shenanigans ensue. And I absolutely love, I wrote down her name, Vermilio. Her personality is so immediately endearing because she needs anger management classes desperately. Like, before Food and
She
Water,
literally
she needs
blows up
anger
when she's
management
mad.
classes.
Wait, is it
And
Vermilion or
she's
is it
constantly
Vomir?
like destroying property by literally exploding in anger.
Yeah, no.
Just like me for real.
I'll be honest. Bold claim here. I might I might walk it back at some point. I'd say she could be girl of the season. I think she's my top pick for girl of the season.
Okay, how many of you have read the manga for
I
this?
haven't at all. I never even
I
heard of
have
this
not.
before.
I
Okay,
have
just
not,
wait until you
but-
see The Witch, and you're like, damn, that's
Honestly,
the better
as,
choice.
I'm a
As
loyal
nice
man.
as Vermilio looks, I'm more partial to the blue
Oh,
skin,
yeah.
black sclera, yellow-eyed demon
She's good.
girl.
She's good.
She does look pretty.
She doesn't
but
really get to do
I-
anything, though, in
I
episode
prefer
I have an
Vermilio.
unabashed love for redheads. My picks are obvious.
Fair.
See, the only issue with this show, because it's funny, it's consistently entertaining, it breathed life back into me after watching so many stinkers. I was like, I was having a good time, and it was the show right before the isekai, and so I knew that after that everything was just gonna go on a downward spiral, and I was like, okay, this better be good.
See, I watched
But,
them
like-
in airing order, so this was like one of the last ones I watched.
I just jumped
And
around.
this was like, oh, I remember what it's like to enjoy something. Like, the first thing I wrote while watching this was, wait, this actually has things going on for it? This isn't a nothing
Oh my
show?
god, this
See, the
fun
only issue with this
soul
show
shows remembered to do that.
it has so much more of a pulse than all these other generic shows that I don't even know how half of them get made, let's be real. But the only issue is its production values. They're alright.
yeah.
They're watchable. They're fine. But I was hoping for something a little more poppy, like even like Mashal, which doesn't even have that great of production values, but that nonetheless stands out enough artistically to be like, this is a good looking show. I enjoy watching this on a visual level. I'm like
Satellite
okay
are
with
like
this on a
the-
visual level.
The kings of mid.
Yeah, it's one of those like
Uh,
it looks good enough for me to not complain, but not good enough for me to really like remember it too much. Just
Yeah,
The
visually.
only
this
reason I'm
is-
even bringing
you're-
it up, like, if the plot was any worse, I wouldn't even mention it. I'd be like, well, it's not even a thing that matters.
This is a
it's
show you
bec-
watch for the characters and the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm actually interested.
it's
Not
like-
really. It is you do not care about the action. Just ignore that. You do not care for the as was already mentioned the visuals because it's your standard anime look.
Right.
But it's
But
all
see,
about the characters.
I do just
Especially
wish
the
it felt
protagonist.
more cared about in a way in terms of animation. I
The
want that
prota-
little bit of polish so that I can
The
truly
protagonist being Vermilio.
delve into the world. So that makes me almost feel like maybe I should check out the manga instead.
I am also a big fan of Helk's design, the Dave the Barbarian looking
Yeah.
ass.
I do quite like it. Yeah.
I like it
So,
because he's
like,
not
it
a
was a
wimpy
fun
little
time.
loser. I like. Give me the muscular
He's a
MCs.
big hulking
Yeah, I
leviathan
love
of
that
a
more.
man.
I'm tired of seeing
As
this
the
dumb
one
little-
who has
Uh-huh.
as the one who has read some of the chapters of the manga, I got to the part where they built the boat. I'll say that.
I built the boat.
The thing I like about it is that Helk is not the protagonist.
Interesting.
He is the name of the show,
Right,
but the
right.
protagonist is Vermilio. She is the
Interesting.
perspective. So if you like her, then you're probably gonna like.
I love her.
I do.
Yeah,
in
then
fact
then
like
you're
her.
probably gonna like watching
I
the
don't
adventure.
usually like tsunderes all that much, but exceptions.
It's
Oh.
not even the
I love
tsundere
how-
part of her I like because
I watched
hate
Evangelion
tsunderes.
in high
I just
school.
like
I
how
love
angry
bitchy
she
redheads.
is. She needs.
I love how
anger
she's
management
like
classes.
in on the she's like the only one on the well, at least like the most deep in the conspiracy theory of obviously this person is the hero that slew our previous demon king and is trying to
Everyone else
infiltrate
is so
our
cool
ranks
with him.
Yeah, I do.
in our tournament
It's one of the-
to weaken our forces.
Yeah, it's not like a laugh out loud kind of comedy, but there was like so many moments where I was just like, "That's funny. I like that. I
had a
I
big
like how they're
smile on my face watching
overanalyzing
this
It was
show.
stupid
very-
little games that she arbitrarily picked, and like, well, of course, this is about defending your own castle. That's why you're building cards. It's like, are you? No, but it's just like it's
The
fun.
race gets
and
pretty
I love
stupid.
how he does the big gust of wind that knocks
Yeah, I
all
was
the
like,
other ones
this is
over.
cheating.
I'm sad that they didn't double down on it and he just made like the ultimate like mansion of cards where it's like not just 10 stories but like
Yeah.
100 stories.
That would have been brilliant.
I don't know. I think it's a fun show. I don't really have many
what-
complaints with it.
It's got a little intrigue into
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
too, where we find out that Helk is a criminal charged with murdering his brother, who was the hero that slew the previous demon lord.
Not only that, why are the towns vacant? What's the deal with the winged army?
True.
Who knows? But yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
the
that
end of the
makes me, like,
episode
super
where
interested. to
when all those
continue.
questions were being brought up, that's when I was like, oh shit, this might actually
Yeah, it's like it's more than
have
just a
things.
gimmick show.
And you'll
It's not
and
just
you'll
gonna
get
be a-
your time to watch it.
It's not just
'cause
going to be
there's
a
24 episodes.
comedy where it's like, oh man, Helk did the thing, and everyone's like, yeah, Helk. It's like, no, they're actually going to go through things.
Right, there's a story and there's going to be
There is a
some
story
payoff
here.
to things set up.
A 24 episode
yeah, yeah,
story.
yeah. That's a good
I
sign.
must also say, the girl who psychically communicates with the other girl by drinking
It
coffee.
was an interesting choice.
I love that power.
That's just
yeah,
fun.
exactly. Yeah.
because I am a coffee addict. I drink like a billion cups of it every day,
Mhm.
and it keeps me up at night. But as a fellow coffee drinker, I approve of this power.
No, coffe's it's bad for you.
I
I
don't
don't
like
drink
coffee. Coffee's
that.
fucking
Yeah, I only
trash.
drink Monster.
You're
and Bang
trash.
Energy.
I am, but coffee is too.
Straight coffee is trash. Coffee with cream and sweeteners is the way to go.
If
Well,
you
yeah,
need
why would you
caffeine
drink
to keep you
anything
awake,
but
you're
coffee
just a
with
weak
cream and
bitch.
sweetener? What did he say?
I said if you need caffeine to keep you awake, then that just means you're a weak bitch.
It's got a point.
You see, I agreed with
Get
that until
good
I
at
started
being
working a
awake.
9 to 5.
Yeah, I agree with that until I
I
became a
started
coffee
working a
addict.
9 to 5 job, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, that's when you found
okay.
out you were weak. Got him. Wrecked. No recovery.
We're never
No coming
inviting
back.
these people on again. This is the worst take.
I just don't like coffee.
Sad.
Yeah,
mean,
and that's why you're
it
getting
is
kicked
okay.
out right now.
Fucking do what you want.
Oh, okay. Hold on. How do I?
How do I boot,
Hold on. Wait, no, that's
ban,
kicking from the server.
kick?
How do I kick him from the call? Yeah, I can't find. Oh, disconnect. There we go.
It took so long.
There we go.
Oh shit, he actually did. I'm back.
Ah, he's back.
Oh, you can't keep a good man down.
Listen, I'm in this for the long haul.
And I don't need any coffee.
He'll never go away.
And I don't need coffee to be in this long haul either.
But you could
You-
buy
you
coffee
should
from
feel
the
it strong.
animation icon Boxo from Vending Machine
Oh my
Isekai.
What a show. They really ran out of ideas, didn't they?
Well,
What are you
have ever
talking
heard
about? This is peak.
Have you ever heard of this thing?
Have
called
you ever heard of a
peak
little thing
fiction?
called peak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. When
Have you ever
some
heard of like
people
Martin
hear the
Scorsese,
word
dude? I
peak,
mean, like,
sometimes they think of like, let's say, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
wrong.
Some say
disagree.
they think about Steins Gate or Hunter x Hunter.
Overrated.
But what I think when I hear the phrase peak fiction is vending machine isekai.
Real.
All isekai is trash.
Except for
My
this
man,
one.
like okay, sincerely speaking now, I completely agree with that. Except for Mushoku Tensei. Mushoku Tensei
Okay,
is
let's.
is the
I'm still a
exception
ReZero
to the rule.
Coper.
But other than that,
I would like to restate my statement.
Mm-hmm.
Reincarnation isekai is the actual worst genre.
except
Because-
for Mushoku Tensei, which is also a recurring.
Because
Yeah,
here's
a
the
little
thing.
different, but yeah,
You could argue Alice in Wonderland is an isekai.
it is.
But the
Chronicles of
thing that
Narnia
makes
too.
that good and the thing that makes reincarnation isekai bad is the goal of isekai should be getting the fuck out and returning home.
It's true. Yeah, that hasn't
agree.
been like.
Debatable.
I mean, I would agree.
Fundamentally, isekai is gross in its themes and morals.
I agree.
That is very
Nah, I
true.
disagree.
I have.
It is
okay,
a
so-
genre that fetishizes death and tells you, and straight up tells you, you do not need to be better as a human. Just kill yourself and you'll be the best.
Okay,
Skill
I
issue.
completely agree with that. Although I don't think.
Why do you think the
escaping
audience for it is so
world-
high?
I don't think escaping the world should necessarily always be the end goal, because it shows like Mushoku Tensei. I know I keep on saying
Spirited Away is an
literally one of my
isekai. I'll
favorite-
say it right here. It's an isekai.
I have not seen Spirited Away.
The
need-
Owl
I've not
House is
seen
an
Spirited
isekai.
Away.
It is.
And the point of Spirited Away is getting the fuck out.
It's true.
See,
And it's
not
fantastic.
necessarily the idea of getting out that I think is the thing that it absolutely needs. It's more so the idea of handing people the best, like everything immediately, right? But
It's a fish out of water story.
oh,
That's what the good ones are, at least.
yeah, but the weird thing is, vending machine isekai is actually kind of, sort of, pretending to be
Maybe.
and threatening to be different from that.
Tolerable.
Yeah,
But
it's
also not at all.
I actually think. Well, okay, so this is the only show I've seen 2 episodes of. Me and Neon both, because we
I haven't seen the
are
second
doing
episode
it. We thought it'd be funny to do a vending machine isekai every week podcast
Bruh.
because it's such a stupid premise.
Listen, I may be a masochist, but I'm not that bad.
This isn't
I-
even like
I may-
this is one
I-
of the better shows, honestly.
Oh, no.
It's not anywhere close to
Uh,
Zom 100 or Helk or anything like that, but it is genuinely like
It is-
one of the more.
It's not even in the
tolerable
top
experiences.
3 of this
Listen,
shitty
this is
block.
coming from someone
yeah.
who loves Drakengard. I'm not that much of a masochist.
I have no idea what that is.
Drakengard
It's,
is a series of bad games by Yoko Taro, the
But yeah,
person who
like-
directed Nier.
But yeah, like the thing is, like Neil was saying, I agree with this. This isn't even in the top 3 of this block, and the fact that this is genuinely like pretty good for an isekai is astonishing.
The main character's a fucking dumbass. Why is he happy about being a vending machine? He's such a stupid fuck. I hate
I
him.
assumed it was a
I hate the
sexual
show.
kind of
Okay.
thing. Like the way he was
All
just
right,
so
all
eager
right.
to.
If you had the ability to get reborn as as a vending machine in another world, wouldn't
No.
you?
I'd rather die.
It's a fulfilling
He's going
existence.
hard.
Don't bring me back in
If
this
you
shit.
feel
People
like this
press
about
button-
vending machine isekai. How do
People
you feel
put
about
in
the
money, they
other
press
isekai
button,
on this
you
block?
spit out the water, and the circle of life goes on.
I don't want to spoil my opinion.
True.
Not
I
until
have
we
a
get to
feeling he
those
hates
shows.
them. He's smiling right now. I can hear the smile. He's like smiling with glee at the thought of like bashing each of these shows' proverbial skulls in. Key Smash is giddy right now. I can
I
feel
wanna-
it.
I want to. If this fucking vending machine was in front of me, I'd grab a shovel and start beating it.
Well, you know what? You can't because he's got barrier magic. So
True.
there.
See, okay, so
Hey, you beat
me
it
and
long
Neon
enough.
Talked about this.
You beat it long
in
enough.
the podcast. But so here's why I say that this is like threatening to be different, but perhaps not actually. Because the show has a lot of mechanics that it introduces very early on.
Like a
and
vending
they're
machine.
all like fairly they're vending machine related mechanics.
And
And
terrible.
I do sort of like the idea of okay, so the main thing this show has going for it is the idea of a protagonist that is so limited in their abilities. They cannot really speak. They have to like find a way to communicate through the limited phrases that he can use. He can't move, so he's basically a bystander to the world at the beginning and has to like wait for things to happen. He has a barrier,
And he's
but it-
happy about this.
It's true.
He's hyped.
Un-
He's overjoyed.
Unnaturally happy. Almost
He-
concerningly happy.
He's
True.
a vending machine otaku. This is the best thing that could have possibly happened to him.
And see, it
I
almost feels
don't
like a
Even
tongue-
attempt to
an
explain to me what a
attempt-
vending machine otaku is.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
died
it is
trying to
very
save a
self-explanatory.
vending machine going off a
And
cliff.
that was
Look,
hilarious.
you wouldn't understand because
It
you're not
was funny.
Japanese.
I burst out laughing watching that.
Japan, what's it like?
See-
There's a vending machine for every person in Japan, so maybe you'd think differently if you were more
See,
traveled
this almost
individual.
See,
feels like
we
a
just have to wait
tongue-in-cheek
until he
No,
unlocks
sort
the
of-
no,
form.
that's
where he
even
turns
less of a
into
reason to give a shit because guess what? 5 minutes later, you're gonna find another vending machine.
How
Who gives a
heartless.
shit about
Okay,
one?
okay,
There's
hold
gonna
on,
be
hold
10
on.
more.
Disavow.
Counterpoint.
Very heartless.
Wait until he unlocks the ability to transform into one of those pair of panty vending machines.
That's gonna be great. That needs to happen. Okay, end
Are they
goal of the show
scented?
decided.
Are they scented and advertised as used?
I don't know about the used part. They're probably advertised as scented. I'd imagine for the appeal.
Now it's even worse. It's pure degenerate trash. Isekai is trash. This is trash. For
See,
trash
I'm
people.
not disagreeing with what you're saying, but this honestly feels like one of the less bad ones. There's one that I'm sure you'll go off on later, and that I will also go off on because it's the worst show of the block by far. But this one is like surprisingly tolerable compared to what isekai usually is. And granted, I've seen a lot of this, not of my own volition, but a lot of
These
it.
are ringing endorsements, by the way.
These are not ringing endorsements. Don't watch this show, right? Don't watch isekai unless it's Mushoku Tensei.
Don't watch vending
or-
machine isekai. Watch vending machine isekai every week on a bagel for the
Yeah,
road.
If you see the Isekai tag anywhere, run. Run far away. Keep running. Never look back. Just keep running till your legs give out.
And like, okay, but the main thing with this show is that it advertises its main character as being like so limited in combat, and I find that interesting.
Yeah, but they solved that problem
But
immediately.
In episode one, there's this scene where okay, so it's established that using this barrier that essentially makes him invincible takes up a lot of points, and he runs on these points. And if he runs out of points, he dies. So you'd think that he'd want to conserve as many points as possible and not use the barrier all the time. But then this girl sleeps next to him, and he's like, okay, I'll put up the barrier all night. And, like, so the way it's presented is he puts up the barrier, and he's like protecting her. Hard cuts today. The barrier is gone, but I'm not sure what is supposed to be implied except that he has kept up the barrier for a significant amount of the night. And my thought running through my head at that point was, first of all, I saw how many points that thing was leaking at the beginning. It was way more than you have. It was like multiple points a second. And two, why wouldn't you just like stay up all night? Because that's also implied by the cut. He stayed up all night looking over this girl. So just do that, but like be on the lookout for monsters, bro. Just look around. And whenever there's one near, put up the barrier. That can ensure your longevity. It shows that you have a functioning brain in there, and it accomplishes the same thing without, like, nearly breaking my suspension of disbelief.
Oh wow,
So-
it's like
My
a
suspension
show
of
in a
disbelief
genre
for the
characterized by
vending
bad
machine.
writing has bad writing.
Yeah, exactly.
I played devil's advocate on the podcast, and I said maybe the barrier only drains like real fast when it's getting attacked.
Listen, it's
But that
stupid
needs
to
be
play devil's advocate.
established. Like,
I know. I was trying to be the good cop to the bad cop on the vending machine podcast.
well, I'm the bad cop, and I'm saying that this is bad writing.
Yeah,
It's just a
and then
bad
episode
genre.
2 is just sort of like a boring, sort of like battle arc. He just this bit at the end where he turns into a Mentos machine, and they start like blowing up coke on this monster.
Well, that was episode 2.
Yeah, that was episode 2, and it's moments like these that make me feel like the show is a little tongue in cheek, even if it doesn't really nail the tone. And like because the idea of defeating a monster with Coke and Mentos is funny, but I'm not really sure what the main character was thinking it would happen. Did you want him to like shoot the frog's eyes? But more than that, they're like running away from the frog, and they eventually halt the entire cart, in order to like figure out what Boxer was trying to get them to do, because obviously he can't communicate with them. And the frog is like slowly catching up to them. First of all, I know this is like a thing in anime where people are like talking for long extended periods of time while an opponent is like waiting for them for whatever reason, or like very slowly walking towards them. Time is sort of distorted. But this was like comically long and the frog was comically slow. But then also immediately after they hit the frog in the eyes with the Coke and Mentos, then like other people come to save them. And my thought at that moment was, what was the point of having all that rigmarole with the Coke and Mentos when you could have just kept running away? I mean, that frog's slow as hell. And sure, he would have eventually caught up, but you stopped dead in your tracks for a period of time. And then they immediately came to save you after you figured it out. You could have just kept running, and they would have saved you nonetheless. You didn't really do anything. That was kind of a pointless scene. No progress was made during that fight. So, I don't know. It's, like, tolerable, but there are these little moments that just sort of make me like, but why? Why watch this? The answer is, you shouldn't.
No, I think the
Fucking
answer is
Isekai.
you watch it so you can make a video on it, talking about how stupid and absurd the whole thing is.
Like me and
Yeah,
Neon
basically.
are
Fucking
on,
hate
on
It's
a
a gift
bagel
show.
for the road.
Gift show for the season. Nothing.
worked.
It's so just. I mean, there's no point in calling the writing bad because, like, what did you expect? It's a show where a guy gets reincarnated as a vending machine. But
Fucking hate Isekai.
but like, there's literally a moment where the chick just stumbles across the vending machine in episode 1, and like her immediate thought is, "This machine looks lonely." Like, what? What do you mean? It's a machine, lifeless. You don't even know what it is. What do you mean it looks lonely? And then of course it's like the one girl who finds him is the one girl who's strong enough to carry him back to town. Otherwise, show's over. Nothing's gonna happen. So it's just like a series of
Should have threw it in the lake and have it drown.
exactly. It's just a series of like plot contrivances.
Short circuit
and
that bitch.
terrible, terrible choices to drag out a gimmick that is really just a title. That's it. That's the show. It's the title.
Fucking hate Isekai.
I hate Isekai for ruining itself because it's inherently an amazing idea. I don't think the purpose
It's a
is to
fun
come back to our
idea.
world. I think the purpose is to find a fundamental truth through the most unlikely of circumstances. And I point to the best stories of all time. You know, your Alice in Wonderland, your Chronicles of Narnia, those good examples of Isekai. Even Mushoku Tensei. They all get it right. They
Even
get that
like
right.
No Game No Life. Like the reason why I disagree with the whole coming back from coming back to the main world is that like the entire point of No Game No Life is that the two main characters weren't really functional in the main world, and that they like by coming to this new world with fundamentally different rules, all of a sudden they are able to function properly. And
Fucking
this
hate
says
Isekai.
something. Well, yeah,
Yeah, they
we
just had a skill
understand
issue.
that
Real life
Pizza.
skill issue.
But basically, the idea is do something with the idea of Isekai. This show does not have any good. Well, it has a couple of decent ideas. It does not go anywhere.
Garbage show.
Well, with that, we are about halfway through the block now, and we are approaching on 2 hours. But I think that with these next
They're
few
all gonna blend
shows,
together.
we're going to knock them out in pretty quick succession.
Neon, I'm not
Does we
even
have it?
sure if I'll be able to remember which one of these shows is which. Like,
Because after Vending Machine Isekai, it is pretty much all downhill from here.
No, I remember these ones.
He's got a bone to pick.
All right.
I've got a bone to
my
pick with every
unique
single
skill
one of
makes
these.
me OP even at level
Oh.
1. I made it 5 minutes.
Garbage,
before I
garbage,
quit.
garbage.
same.
I watched it all the way
I
through.
watched the whole episode.
Yeah, I also did. It is absolutely terrible.
Let me
Okay,
send some
so-
screenshots.
Y'all were
So-
talking about how none of these shows are like they're a fish. They're not horribly ugly or terribly.
Okay, well
ugly
that was
looking. They're
because I had
efficient.
forgotten.
This one
show.
was the hardest exception. This show looks like
Yeah, it's-
ass.
This show
I
looks
do.
actually
okay.
terrible.
I didn't get to the CG pedestrians, but I did get to the dungeon, and I saw the CG skeleton hidden in the OP. I think that
I
was
saw
this
the
show.
characters' designs. They're always horribly off model.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
characters standing around. Everything looks flat and all just like off. Like there's a shot of just a close up of the main guy's face, and his eye looks like it's starting to melt.
This is on
Best
television.
way I can describe this show's aesthetic is sterile. and not in the way that something like Steins Gate could be like so blown out white and very like haunting feeling even in the middle of day. I mean in the sense that this should feel a lot more energetic and bombastic, but that it just feels lifeless. It's like a limp corpse. Okay, so I'm the same with Neon. I made it about 5 minutes into this one. The only thing that stuck out to me is that it had more video game mechanics than usual.
Oh, you missed the reused shot of the slime jumping towards the
I
the
know.
screen.
I did see it. I did notice that they reused it.
They reused it, and it was terrible.
I don't think I got to that.
It was. I laughed at it.
I did not get very far.
I did
The-
get to it, but I didn't
the-
look at it because I was on my phone.
The gimmick for this one is that Isekai Man, his power this time, his stats are shit, but his drop rate is high. So whatever he kills, he gets the best drop rate version of whatever he drops.
My opinion of whenever there's a leveling system introduced
Instantly garbage.
in anime or manga, it is always terrible.
Yeah.
Always. As soon as it's introduced, leave. Because every single time that it's very clear that isekai is
I say one
very
exception. One
inspired.
exception is Konosuba. I'll allow that one.
Isekai's trash. No exceptions. Anyway,
No exceptions. Not even.
Yeah, I can
Konosuba?
respect that. I can respect that. Man's got to have his convictions.
I have my
Konosuba
principles. I
doesn't
stick
even
by
lean
them.
hard
I'm
into
no
the leveling
bitch.
thing.
Anyway, it's very clear a lot of isekai is inspired by video games, but it always goes surface level. They never actually.
And it's always Dragon Quest.
Yes, well, Japan loves Dragon Quest,
Well, yeah, I know, but like,
but it's
Yo,
always
throw us
the
a-
most generic surface level things, never actually engaging with mechanics.
See, I think there's one example. One example I would point to that does something a little interesting with that is I like the way ReZero approached it, because in ReZero, the way that they don't have like firm levels that they, it doesn't have like, here, you pull up your stat sheet real quick. Let me go, you put some XP into this, blah blah blah. Instead, it's like Subaru gets to the world, the main character, he's reincarnated, or he's not reincarnated, but like he's transported to the world, and he's just a gamer, so he just calls things video game terms. He's like, oh, okay, that's a debuff skill. Oh, okay, that's this kind of skill. That's that kind of magic. But like everybody in the world does not refer to it that way. They're just like, no, this is magic, and this is this kind of magic. This is that kind of magic. I would just much prefer if they did that. Like you can have the main character who's your neat otaku loser, whatever. You can have him just call the things video game mechanics, and it will make sense for him as a character to say that. But why are the other people in the world talking about levels and talking about like all this stuff that just it's not real? It doesn't need to be there.
Here's the reason: because you need to be a good writer.
I mean, it's true. I'm not convinced
And the
they have
person who
writers for
made this is not.
Yeah.
You know, what I want and prefer and really like is every time there's a leveling system, it's always surface level, and it's a very clear sign that the writer is not a good writer, because they rely and always fall back on bigger number. You know what does like
I mean, hey,
what I
bigger
look
number, better
for-
person.
what I look for is something like Witch Hat Atelier. If any of you are familiar with that.
I'm so excited for the anime of that. It's actually my most anticipated
So,
anime on the base.
In that,
On the basis of it, it's just anime owl
there
house.
is no leveling system. What it is, it's a magic system, and the whole growing part is learning the mechanics of the system and learning to exploit those mechanics. And that is a video game thing to do, is learning the mechanics and exploiting them. But in all this shit that has a leveling system, it's always bigger number, better character. Unless you want this fucking power fantasy of, but the main character's like me for real, and I want that power fantasy, so the main character has to be the strongest there is, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I love the part where
It's just pathetic and sad.
he immediately
They have to be the strongest that there is, but are they actually
Yes.
the strongest?
The title says he is.
he's basically yeah, and immediately, because he's Japanese and a main character, he just finds a lolly instantly, and then they shack up together and live together.
Yeah, and then
but also the clerks into him
he-
too.
I don't remember
he
him
starts
finding
living
the
with this
lolly
girl of
instantly.
questionable
It's true.
age.
Questionable age, questionable morals. You're not allowed for this. Disavow.
Are you allowed to fuck a baby?
Oh, we're transitioning.
Oh, we are
Next show.
Did,
Oh my god.
that,
the worst.
was that not clear from when I said, but is he actually the strongest?
Yeah.
I hate. Okay, so
This one's
I'm
worse.
gonna be real with you.
Worse.
This is the worst show of the block, and probably the worst thing I've ever seen. This is
Nah,
an affront to God.
I think I have one
As
that's worse.
soon as the redheaded wolf girl, which okay, as much as I would appreciate seeing porn of this character, she's no holo, so who gives a fuck?
One more
um,
year. We'll get
As
her.
soon as she leaned towards a baby and said, "Put
No.
your seed in me,"
Yeah.
That I
was like, there is no
Scorsese-
redemption here.
Weeps and kneels at peak.
So there's almost a part of me
Did
that
fucking
wants to
Nobuhiro
say
Watsuki write this
that
shit?
this I almost want to say that the author is aware of it, but I don't even want to say that because oh god, I dropped my water bottle. Yeah, because the thing with isekai is it's this constant game of one-upmanship. So you start with the dude reincarnating and he gets like a second chance at life. Then it becomes he gets a second chance at life, but it's like a wish fulfillment thing and he gets everything for
Yeah,
free.
he's a fucking
And then it
loser, and he was
becomes-
given shit for no reason.
Then we cut out the character backstory in like in increasingly obvious ways. Like none of these shows
Well, literally for this one, it was
have
only 1 minute.
any
It was 1 minute before the isekai.
characterization to like to their main characters beyond here's like how they died, not like an in-depth look at what they wanted before they died. That's the number one thing I hate in isekai. that
We don't
never
even
know what they
see
were
this
like
person before
before.
he dies.
Yeah.
I
That's
was
how
bullied,
little of
so
a
I
shit
stopped
this
leaving my
gives.
house. I'm not even gonna attempt to show you this. You can just insert your own sad.
Just
situation.
insert yourself, because guess
Isekai
what?
watching
That's you.
audience. Yeah, it's
Because-
fucking you.
But the thing is, at this point, isekai has babies learning to levitate when they get reincarnated and then flying around until they fight this giant wolf and then they form in a contract immediately.
Yeah, so how long
this
until
is
it's
what isekai
you're
is.
just
This
like
is the
in the
monster
womb
you
still?
You see,
created.
the next logical step is to be fuck the getting born as a baby part. Be isekai'd into the
Exactly.
fetus and then operate the magic powers from inside the.
No, you're gonna be
pregnant woman.
That would
reincarnated.
actually be
No, it's gonna
that would
be
probably be an improvement.
reincarnated into my fantasy father's balls, and then you get impregnated, and that's where it starts. You start as a little sperm. Like
Panel 1 is just a bunch of sperm swimming around you, and you look around, you're like, I'm sorry.
yeah, the
what?"
climactic action
Yeah,
scene of the
it's
first
like
episode is
os-
just
yeah,
they have
is
like
the
their own
race.
little
Characters,
Osmosis
like,
Jones
swimming
society,
around
but for
all
sperm.
nonchalantly, talking to the other sperm, and then he talks to this one really knowledgeable old sperm. He's like, "Yeah, we're inside a dog." We didn't know if
Yeah,
you
episode
already."
1's climax is a tidal wave.
Yeah, it's like a rumbling, an earthquake, and then like one sperm, like a really tense close up, and he just goes, "It's time."
A climactic moment. A climax.
if you will.
And then the isekai just becomes
And
I
it's
can't
very
say- I can't
important
say
that
the
the
title of it,
that
but
We
the
should
egg
write
that
an
the
isekai.
sperm
It's
is about-
literally this easy.
the sperm that the egg is about to fertilize is a anime waifu. Is sentient and gets like
Yeah,
oh,
he
you're
sees all the
gonna
eggs
fertilize
and he's
me.
like,
Ah,
"Let me see
woo."
which one's the best choice." I don't know. We got a tsundere egg. We got a darde egg. I don't know. Which one do I want to go for?
oh my
Who is
lord.
best girl?
This would honestly
Which
be a
egg?
better show than what
I think we put
This
more thought
is-
into this scenario than they did. For
It's
this.
literally this easy to write a basic bitch isekai.
this is. No, what we're writing isn't basic at
Yeah,
all.
we've written advanced.
but
This is highbrow, high level,
This is
advanced concept.
Heavy
here.
satire
Thematic.
in this one.
depth.
I was reincarnated into a sperm. There's your title.
And I became the strongest
it's
fetus
the
in another
tournament
world.
arc for who gets the egg.
Exactly.
Oh my lord, yeah, it's perfect. It's a battle royale out there. But
You
like,
think of all the tags you could put.
uh,
Beautiful.
the thing is,
Zygote
I
to
ended up-
Zygote, greatest of all time.
I ended up putting this show on 4x speed
Ooh.
because it's so. I mean, granted, I would have put it on like only 3x.
I watched
if
all
I had
of
the
these
choice,
at
but
one time speed.
Yeah, I don't know how you do this because
I like suffering.
I also did.
I said it earlier. I like
True.
things that make me
I had my
miserable.
phone out.
that is next level masochism. I've seen too many isekai to put this on 1x, but like, as soon as I saw the wolf girl, I knew it was over. She's just a nonce.
Well, no,
she's just a creep.
I think with this show,
I don't know how else to put it.
No, she belongs on a list. I think this show was basically just how do we make Mushoku Tensei, and let's not think about it, and let's just rip it off and get everything wrong.
There's no,
Because like it just feels
how
like
would someone even get this from Mushoku Tensei?
I think
How would someone watch a masterpiece and then go like, yeah, I'll make
they
an
put no
affront
thought
to
into
God.
it. They
If you lack talent and want
what
money,
did people like about Mushoku Tensei? He got reincarnated as a
like,
baby, and he said his mom had nice boobs. Okay, we'll put that in. What else what did they have?
Dude, when
had Wolf Girl.
I look
Put that
at
in.
this, I just the entire time I'm watching this show, I just hear Amalgam playing in the background from Undertale, knowing that I am looking at an unholy abomination that was made in a lab that shouldn't have been made, but nonetheless exists. A creature that is consistently in pain, that spends every single day wishing it was dead. That is this show, and I just have to watch it suffer.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
I got nothing else. Honestly,
the only ethical
it
thing
peaked
to do
at baby fucking.
put it out of its misery. That being said, I am tempted to make a video on it and watch.
Yeah,
all 12
this show
episodes
is
in one
literally
episode.
unethical.
Bro, this is the kind of show you put the dialogue of her saying, "Now put your seed in me" when she's talking to the baby in the thumbnail, and you get 1 million views.
That's why I need
Oh,
to
that
make a
would get
video.
me.
of
Writing
it.
it down. Writing it down.
Write that
Shit,
down,
who gets
write
to it
that down.
first?
Little do they know,
Something
I'm uploading this
something
clip right
about
now.
am I actually the strongest? 1 million views. Now we move on
Alright,
to
that's
the most
the
heretical,
most heretical last boss queen.
From villainous to savior. Okay, I'm trying to
AKA
remember what
that-
happens in this one.
A villainous otome isekai that is indistinguishable from all other villainous otome
That's why I'm
isekai.
struggling to remember what happens, but it is slowly coming back to me. So the main girl, we learn nothing about her past life on Earth other than that she was a high schooler, or not high schooler. She's like, and she gets ran over by a car. A truck comes back again. Another grave. And so, she gets reincarnated as the villainess. I know, shocking. Spoiler alert ahead of all these isekai. They die anyway.
Wait, is that true? Hold on.
But
I want to verify. Yeah, I think that's true.
yeah. You're gonna just verify this one. But yeah, anyway.
It is true.
Fuck! Wait, is it?
I know it's like very questionable, but yeah, they do in fact die, all of them, every single isekai.
What was the last isekai where he
anyway.
didn't? I mean, ReZero, he didn't die. Is there one after that where he
Okay,
doesn't die?
I
I mean, like, okay, he dies a lot in ReZero.
features a
I
lot
mean,
of death
I mean, he
later,
doesn't
but-
die to get into the fantasy world. That's what I meant. It doesn't start with him
Yeah.
dying in the. I mean, it does start with him dying, but that's not how he gets there.
I genuinely can't think of one.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, none
Uh,
other than ReZero.
Alice in Wonderland.
No, I mean, like,
that's,
recent-
that's
I
the
mean,
one
there's-
that did it.
I bet I can name a bunch of generic, shitty seasonals that no one remembers about, like,
Maybe.
you know, classrooms of guys getting, like, magic circled into another
Yeah,
world.
possibly.
Oh yeah, that.
Shield Hero.
Oh,
Shield
Oh
Hero, he
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
die.
Shield Hero.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot that show existed, even though I mentioned it earlier. We talked about it with the.
But yeah, so the main girl, there's the one thing I remember about this show is that there was a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Instead of the show naturally introducing us to what this character that, you know, the 19-year-old is inhabiting is like, the 19-year-old proceeds to explain at length she is the daughter of this one guy and her sister is the protagonist. She ends up killing everyone. And in this scene, I'm not supposed to save the dad. However, I shall save the dad because I want to alter the course of history. I have been nothing but a brat all my life. That is my character. However, upon
It's
realizing
all
the
the
fact
same.
that I was an awful person this whole time, despite that not actually being me, I cried from the horror of realizing that I had done all these things, even though I have not actually done all these things. Can you just shut up? Exposition scenes are only good when when Monogatari
Yeah,
does it.
yeah, you
I
gotta let it
worked
play
back
out.
in again.
Well, I think it's because Monogatari
Yeah.
knows what to say and what to not say. I think in this one, it's like
Someone say it says,
it says too much, and it's like you shouldn't have said half of this stuff because it makes it less interesting. When I was watching this show, my
Just like Monogatari.
I hate you, Neon.
When I was watching this show, the main thing I was thinking of the entire time was like, why isn't she like actually evil? Because it'd be way more interesting if the main girl was actually evil. If she was like, okay, I already know how everything plays out. I want to make sure that I win. So I'm going to be like an even worse person than the person I'm supposed to be. And since I have all this knowledge, I can't
she
lose.
like treats the past villainess who's apparently committed the worst atrocities known to
Yeah,
man.
it's like, we're gonna one-up it.
traumatized all of these
As
men.
a challenge.
Yeah, it's like a challenge.
Yeah, like that's why I really thought it was going in that direction, and like somebody else is also
You
like
thought this was going in an
Nah,
interesting
for like the first 30
direction?
seconds. But I thought like
Okay,
we're gonna do
okay,
that, and then
makes
like it was gonna be
Imagine
revealed that
thinking isekai can be
that
interesting.
some other person from her world who also like was a big fan of the game was reincarnated as the hero, and so now you have like this sort of like Light and L. I think I was just wanting to watch Death Note again, but like a Light and L relationship where they're each just trying to like outsmart each other and figure out based on their own
That would
knowledge of
be
the rules, like how do you win? That's why, and I was like,
Crusader,
this is
you're describing an actually fun show.
yeah,
and
not
this.
this.
Isn't that.
It's not. This is not that show. Yeah, this show is just. It's trying to be something. It really is.
It's not trying to be anything.
It's trying to be marketable.
I'm not convinced that this is trying to be anything other than the most generic version of an Otome game isekai in existence.
Yeah, probably not.
So
But can we one up the so go ahead.
I would okay. I hate this show for a unique reason. I hate this because it should not be an anime.
Interesting.
It is the wrong medium.
How?
The story
saying
it
it
is
should be a
trying to go
game?
for is telling something from telling a story from a different perspective, and it is telling you about the changes that are happening. It is literally it is telling, not showing, how things are different and how things are happening. This should have been a visual novel.
I did get that energy. Sure.
Without the isekai. Get rid of the isekai. This should have been a visual novel. This should have been an otome where you play as Pride. Tiara. That's the hero girl. You play as Tiara, and you kiss all the boys. You get all the endings.
You're just
and-
describing the Otome game isekai without
Yeah.
the
So basically, you're
isekai.
saying this show should be the thing that the show is based on. That she talks
No.
about. No, like the thing that she talks about.
I'm
it should
not
just be that.
done. What happens is you play as Tiara, you get all the endings, and after you hit credits, you get a message saying, "You got all the endings. Press New Game Plus for more." And then a second half of the game is unlocked where you play as Pride, not as like Tiara invading Pride's body. No, you are playing as Pride, and you are given
The Last of Us Part 2.
and you were given the same choices that would have been canonical as Tiara, or you were given different choices, and you can make and see those differences that are happening. But because there is no first half, we are just being told that things are different. This should not have been an anime.
I
So see, you make a good point. My one counterpoint to that is that I will never touch an Otome game in my
Yeah.
life.
What I'm saying is this should have been visual novel Nier Automata.
I think what you're really saying is this should have been like a. I never watched it, but like a Steins Gate. What's that alternate path one they did?
You just described Last of Us Part 2, but
No, but
as
like
an
I
Otome
think
game.
like this could be like a season 3 or just like another like take on a show if the first part actually did well that people cared enough.
I think we should just agree that this show sucks.
Oh, it's
I
terrible.
agree.
Die.
That's a hot take, but I will agree.
Then
Dregs of the Earth.
Not the worst thing.
That's what Isekai is.
It's just like, just eh. Best thing it did was
Not
made me
even
think of
really,
better
if I had-
shows while I was watching.
it's like a flat line in the abyss. That's how I would describe it. We're already in the abyss,
then
and
wait-
somehow you flat.
Granted, I don't think we're the target
Wait,
audience, so who knows? I don't think they
Yeah,
care.
what do you think? the Great
Isekai makes
Cleric
anime
lies
a
on
net
that-
negative
on that-
in the world.
What do you think the Great Cleric lies on that spectrum of flatlining?
I don't even remember.
Uh,
What
I-
happened in this one?
I don't even
See?
fucking remember what Great Cleric looks like.
Which one was this one?
Some dude
He
with
had
white,
hair.
hair. Yeah,
That's
that's,
like
the
two of
only
them,
thing I
though.
remember it for.
He
And
The
then
only
became a
thing I was
healer, I
thinking
think.
about
I
during
made
the
it 5
entirety of
minutes.
Great Cleric was I feel bad for these for these animators. They're overworked, they're underpaid, they're sleeping in their office, and they're being told to degrade themselves by working on isekai.
Their office crushes are getting fucked by their
Their
bosses.
crushes are getting fucked next door, and they can hear and see it. There's a window. The walls are glass. They're seeing it. And they're working on this shit and sleeping in their bunk beds at their no, under their desks, let's be real. And they're being told, work on an isekai.
So I have one.
I would
note
jump in the
on
train
this.
in front of the train that day.
Listen, if I had a nickel for every isekai this season with a blue-haired bunny girl in it, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened
Yeah,
twice.
I noticed that. I forgot this was
my
the show that had
one
that.
note for this is it's not terrible, but it's generic enough for me to tune out early.
Yeah.
And
That's about right.
That's basically.
I
how-
honestly have nothing more to say about it.
See,
I think I said one of the ladies
I'm
was
trying
alright.
to like
It was bad.
conjure up images from the show. So he's trying to be a healer. He goes to the town gate. They're like, "Yo, what are you?" And he says a healer, and they say, "Okay, come on in." There was no intrigue. Nothing happened. I made it like halfway through the episode on 2x speed, and still felt like after half an episode of what like any good show like Zom 100, you've got you're like
Just say
neck deep
Monogatari.
into
I
the
know you
main
want to.
characters. Yeah, Monogatari. Okay,
It's the right
so
answer.
halfway through the first episode of Monogatari,
Real.
you've like gotten this amazing dialogue between Araragi and Hanakawa, then Araragi and Senju Gahara. And
To be honest, I was
you're
sold
like,
the first 30 seconds.
I think by that point, you're like Araragi is like riding home with Senju Gahara and saying, "Yo, I'm a vampire." You're learning so much about the characters so quickly, and here a dude walks into a town, and then that's it, and I want to die.
This is yet another show with a leveling system,
Yeah.
which is also trash.
Yeah, I can't remember which podcast. It might have been the last seasonal podcast where I just went off about if I have to see one more stat screen in an isekai, I'm gonna fucking blow my
Yeah.
brains
No,
out.
it's here to stay.
Well, here it is. So get to it.
If I see one more
Keep
stat
to your
screen
word.
in an isekai, I'm gonna need medical attention stat. Anyway.
Isn't there another one after this? Doesn't Sweet Reincarnation also have that? I don't
Oh
remember.
no! Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! I'm gonna need
I made
medical
it-
attention.
I need to take a moral stance on Sweet Reincarnation. All of the chefs at the beginning of the show were in blackface.
God damn it, I was gonna say that.
Bigotry
I also
on this
thought
channel.
that same thing.
God damn it, that was the first thing
feel
I
like-
wrote, is that it
We're
was
all
a
equally
bold choice to
unoriginal.
feature blackface.
I'm pretty sure they were trying to do. It reminded me of what they did for like Volume 1 of Ruby. I don't know if you ever watched that, but they had like all the characters be silhouettes, and they stopped doing it because they realized.
Oh yeah, because they're so cheap on the production of this one, they can't even afford to make generic looking background
Right, yeah.
characters. They just want to make low detail silhouettes.
Yeah, I was like, I
You
wanted
want
to.
to know the worst part?
Uh-huh.
The main character is blacked out in the backstory.
Yeah,
The
yo,
person you are supposed to be attached to.
He too
is
also loves
completely blacked out.
blackface.
Yeah. So basically, he's the most interesting isekai protagonist since Mushoku Tensei, because at least this one's racist.
real.
At least he's trying to reclaim
a
blackface.
racist in another world.
I would watch that. Racist in another world.
That would actually be very interesting. Just seeing some guy try to learn about all the various cultures so he can be accurate with his insults. I would watch that. I would recommend that to people.
I don't know about those elves, man. I feel
Oh, yeah,
like we need a
he's
border.
like he has a notebook and he's taking note of all the native slurs for elf.
He's,
Yo, shout out to Star Trek for having one of the best fictional slurs ever.
which is?
Are
How-
you gonna
how
say
ma-
it? Are you gonna say it right now? Come
Okay,
on,
how
do
many
it,
people
coward.
here are familiar with Star
I mean,
Trek?
I've watched some of it.
Not at all.
Very minimally.
Okay, I need to find a picture of the Cardassians.
Oh,
Because-
I know what them. I know what
Oh,
they
no.
look like.
Kardashians?
No, Cardassian. Because it is a very
Specific word.
visual reason. So, I want you to, anyone listening to this, look up a Cardassian if you don't know. I sent a picture of a Cardassian to them. They are sometimes called spoonheads.
They got the spoon.
I get it.
which sounds like a real slur.
I mean, I probably shouldn't say the slur then.
It's such a visceral visual thing.
It's very
and
much
it's
like
hilarious.
the Vietnamese one. I'll say that. I don't know if
Oh yeah.
it involves.
Oh, that one's not
It's
good.
not a good one.
Well, see, the reason that we, at least with Spoonhead here, that they're called that because he looks like there's a spoon on his forehead.
Anyway, everyone here
with the
loves
Vietnamese
slurs.
one,
Real.
that
And
that
apparently
was
loves
'cause of-
blackface because we're giving this show praise for it.
I think it was a bold choice.
The blackface was the most interesting thing about the show.
Blackface is a bold choice.
No, I think the most
But,
interesting thing about the
interesting
show.
thing to me is how
can
he
quote me on
died.
that.
How did he die again? I don't even
He-
remember. Did he die in the kitchen?
Okay, so
He had
Oh,
his,
yeah, he got
his
crushed.
Great British
Yeah.
Bake Off creation
Yeah.
called onto him.
He was crushed by his own masterpiece, which in any other show would be like I don't know, some kind of commentary. In this one, it just happens.
Yeah, you know what else
Yeah,
just
oh,
happens?
darn.
In this one and in the next one, they just decide to start cross-dressing little boys. When did that become an established trope?
Yeah, that made me uncomfortable.
I was like, wait a minute, this guy's
Especially
mother.
the next one.
Yeah, with his mother and his sister, just like there's just like a montage of doing all the different outfits, and I was like, why are we doing
At least
this?
in the next one, when they cross-dressed him, they cross-gendered
Yeah,
him
the
as
next one he
well.
just sticks with the outfit. This one's just like a little bit, but I don't know. It's just like, why? Okay, is this the next thing that's gonna be with the stats?
I'm trying to. I didn't get to the cross
I
dressing.
think it's halfway through, maybe. I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Okay, so he exists. He gets on a farm.
It's
like
right before he leaves. His
later.
mom's like, "Oh, my precious
He
little boy,
wants
I don't want to
make
go
candy.
away."
I tapped out very early. This one.
I'll try and find it.
it's interesting. Initially, I can't believe anyone wrote this.
I'm
I was like, "Church is not evil for once." Wow, and then I just wrote, "Lol, never mind." Yeah. So
I can't believe it. That's so unrealistic that the church would be
I was
evil.
like, okay.
Churches are always evil.
At least make it interesting. Don't just do this.
Have you ever
same-
seen a church? That shit is evil.
Hey, it goes hard, man. The stained glass windows. Oof. Look at them all day. The giant dead dude hanging on the ceiling. I mean, come on. You tell me that's not cool? It goes pretty hard. I rest my case. Yeah, but this thing it was just mediocre. Weird mediocre. I don't know. I think at this
Worse
point I
than
was.
mediocre. I could not.
I think I would have
stand to
disliked it more.
Watch it for more than 5 minutes.
I would have disliked it more if I didn't already like watch worse things.
I would have disliked it more if I watched more than 5
Yeah,
minutes
fair.
of it.
Same.
I
But
found the picture.
something I
of it.
watched more than 5 minutes of. Oh,
Beautiful. Absolutely
that's fucked
beautiful.
up. That's a lot of purple.
Yeah.
A lot
He
of
says like,
light
"Oh,
there.
I have a bunch of sisters. They put me in dresses."
Yeah, I was like, this sounds traumatic. But-
that sounds. That sounds like what Onimai's critics say the show is.
All right, well, it's time to inject life back into the podcast and to anime in general.
Unless you're key
We're
smash, because
ending
he
this
seems
block.
like he hates this one.
Well, then this will make for an interesting discussion. The level 1 demon lord and 1 room hero.
So place your bets. Did I like this or not?
well, it's not an isekai, so I'm going.
It featured a little girl, so I figured, odds are swinging positive.
Well, it's not technically a little girl though. So
It's a boy.
Exactly. That's your get out of jail card.
I'm just gonna send an unrelated screenshot, unrelated to my opinion of it, of this show.
The
That-
Yeah,
swimsuit
that
devil
show.
girl is hot, and her ass is constantly on display, which I appreciate.
It was very
That shot is deep. That not even
That is-
thematically. It is
that is how you-
physically.
yeah,
That
those
is-
animators did not get to go home
that
to their
is-
families when they were working on that one.
I would much rather have
That-
more of those shots than
gonna say-
glamour shots of a child's body.
Fair.
I was gonna say that's the kind of ass shot that's like created by dedicated ass men.
Yeah. I appreciate it on some level. On the other level, though, it's it's like apropos of nothing. It serves no diegetic purpose. I mean, I guess
No, it
he
serves a
is
purpose.
Wearing,
It
there's
serves a purpose.
but not a diegetic one.
How tight is it actually?
These are the
See,
questions we were meant to ask.
I get the joke is that she's wearing a swimsuit and that's the author's poorly disguised fetish. but at the same time, it's like
I feel like this author has
Was
other
that
poorly disguised fetishes.
shot- someone is about to go ham. But yeah, I just don't think these shots are good. I think we need less shows like okay, we need more fan service like Dress Up Darling and less fan service like this where it just happens as opposed to the characters pushing it forward for a narrative reason.
I've never watched Darling.
But that's
Dress Up Darling, and I refuse to. Don't care about it.
you should. It's like a pretty solid 7 out of 10. Neon wants to hang me for that opinion, but I will stand by it.
I can't watch it. I've made fun of it too many times in too many videos. And
See, I won't watch it because anime is trash and degeneracy.
Real.
I guess I will be the lone. If Dress Up Darling has 100 fans, I'm one of them. If Dress Up Darling has 1 fan, I'm one of them. If Dress Up Darling has no fans, I am
There.
dead.
I'll be honest. I should
but-
I should hate this show more than I did, but like I didn't even mind it that much. I think at this point,
Okay.
I liked
so-
it. I
like,
honestly
I
liked
was
it.
not bored.
Okay,
I'll say
so
that I was not
here's
bored when I was watching. it.
Here's my roller coaster of emotions with this show because I did end up thinking it was. I list all the shows in order of which one I think is best to worst. I have the good tier, the watchable tier, and the actual garbage tier. This one is in the watchable tier because it. Okay, so it starts off, I think, incredibly boring.
Yeah,
It's like the demon and the hero and their party going up in their generic fight. It's not particularly well animated.
The
I get
hero
that-
looking like a bootleg soul bad guy.
basically.
Yeah, it's like it's there for a narrative purpose, and I get why the author would include it. But I wish we would just like do it either in a more interesting way or in a quicker way. Where I ended up speeding it up because I was like, this is just another generic isekai. But as it turns out, although it is a reincarnation story of sorts, it is not really an isekai. The demon gets reincarnated as this little brat in a tiny body, and
And
it's like-
fittingly, they are voiced by Naomi Ozora, aka Satania Uzaki and Jahi. Basically,
beautiful.
this actress is the queen of voicing little shits.
And he's a boy who is constantly made to cross-dress by the girl in the swimsuit, which is a little weird.
It's an interesting choice.
I thought he just straight up reincarnated as a little girl.
No.
No, I
no.
thought that at first too, but no, he is straight up still a guy.
I was gonna say I thought they made a joke at one point where they try to like mention his penis, but then they look at it, it's like, oh, you're nether regions, and like too embarrassed to admit that he's no longer.
I thought it was just saying
No,
like he's
the-
just
the-
small.
The
He's got like a
embarrassment is
baby
that
dick.
was so tiny.
Yeah, like you're a little kid now. Puberty.
he is a boy.
You've lost your.
That was actually what made me check the Annulist page just to double check. So I was like, "There's no way that's still a boy." Oh, it is still a boy. Oh, oops.
Yeah,
Well, it's okay. We can pretend this is operating on Onimai rules.
we could, but doesn't make it much better? Who knows? Who can say?
I don't know. Ask Crunchy.
Onimai is better than this, easily. But
A lot of things are better than this.
like, okay, so Key Smash clearly is very against this show. But
Yeah, I didn't like
to
it.
me, what I liked about it is although it's not particularly funny IMO, it has enough charm and intrigue to carry me through most of the experience because the entire joke is that the hero who defeated the king, the demon king, he's actually like kind of a cheating dickbag. He cheated on 10 different women.
Allegedly.
He got into
Allegedly.
allegedly. I don't want to spread misinformation on this podcast.
This
right?
hero is such a dirtbag. He's jerking it to like bikini gravure and not actual porn.
It's true. Even though he also what is
has
he
doing?
doing? He's got the
That
show of
he's
fleshlight that he
ascended.
has. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
that's one way to
And
describe it.
so it's basically hero rehabilitation, where the Demon King is like, you know what, you're so pathetic. I'm gonna care for you. I'm gonna make sure that you get into
Crunchy.
better
It's a
shape."
crunchy coded show. Neat rehabilitation.
Then just
See,
go watch Welcome to the
uh,
NHK. Don't watch
ah.
this.
Better show
See,
by far.
on the
Hot take.
surface, it's crunchy coated, but it's not that funny, and I don't know, something about it is just missing.
I can
feel.
tell you one thing that
Okay.
is missing.
Pants.
Go ahead.
So most fantasy anime, I'm gonna say most because there is some stuff that is that does this good. I will say Yona of the Dawn does this well. Most fantasy anime never properly utilize their fantasy setting. Rarely do they ever.
Do you have opinions on this setting?
Their follow-up point?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
this
this one's- it's
setting
not even really
is
fantasy.
uninspired. It claims to be a fantasy, but it doesn't do anything with that really.
Well, I thought the joke was that it started off looking like a fantasy, but then was just like the
And
demon
in the
even
span of 10
mentions on
years,
it.
they just
Yeah.
caught up to our
Yeah.
society.
Yeah, the Demon King literally comments on it, like, society's changed still, and I thought the joke was that in 10 years they went from medieval Europe to modern society.
I thought that was hilarious.
I liked that.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't mind it.
I thought the hero got like banished to like the real world and the demon was gonna follow him. But it's way funnier to think that they just caught up to our society in 10 years.
Really, it feels like it's just claimed to be a fantasy because that's what's popular and that's what is going to bring in money, not because it fits the setting, it fits the story or the characters.
I'm not that jaded on it. I thought
You
it
could have
was a
just
decent
you could have
enough
just had this
gag.
be a story of some like in real life, just a time skip of 10 years and two people meet back up and it's like, "Oh, you're a dirtbag now."
But then you don't.
And
get
then you
the
welcome to the
funny.
NHK.
Then you don't get the funny.
But you
Although,
can
to
make
be
the
fair-
funnies if you're a good writer.
But I think this is good writing. At least that particular aspect of it. Not saying every part of.
Yeah, I
this
think it's
show
fine because
is
it's
good
very
writing.
much like it's not a problem if you want to comment on the like the anime landscape as it is right now. And what's big right now is isekai and fantasy and demon lords and all that. And so if you want to make a show that's specifically playing on the audience expectation that you're gonna have a demon lord and you're gonna have fantasy, and then immediately it's like, yeah, 10 years later, it's not really a fantasy anymore. Like I don't think that's a problem to do that. I think it's fine. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, but I don't think it's like inherently
It's
bad.
basically
All right,
like
you,
YouTube.
You want to
clickbait.
talk about good writing in the show? Let me hit you with it. Their world's version of YouTube is called Poo Cube.
That is ingenious writing.
I didn't even see that. That is beautiful. That is gorgeous. I like this show now just for that alone.
Instant 10 out of 10.
Honestly,
No, I think
mom found the shit cube. Oh no.
Mom found the Poo Cube.
I wanted to dislike it more, but to be honest, I don't know. I felt like it did enough to keep me interested. And I like Scumbag.
I think your issue is you relate to
It's
the
true.
main
I
character
love
too
Scumbag
much.
main characters, and I liked the main dude. I like that he's just like a messy, dirty failure of a human, and I'm like, I'm interested. Yeah, keep me watching.
Yeah, I thought they had like a developing chemistry that I enjoyed.
I did wish
enough
that
I
he
wouldn't
wasn't
hate-
cross-dressing, or maybe he was just a girl.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that character placed with a different character, not the reincarnated demon lord. Get that character out of the show and replace it with someone new, and it'd be a lot better.
Well, I like the joke that the demon lord is moving in with the fallen hero to.
But did it have to be a
rehabilitate him so that
child?
way they can do battle. I think that just
Yeah,
lends
I think it's
it
just more of the
to-
absurdity to it. Like you have a grown man who can't
Yeah,
take
yeah,
care
it
of
lends
himself, and
the
kids got to come in.
I
absurdity.
mean,
there
I
and do
don't mind the child.
Now that I
aspect,
know
I'm just
that
not
he's still a guy and he's
100%
cross-dressing, that's adding a little bit of oddity to it. I would have preferred if he just got reborn as a little girl, because the idea of the demon lord that I defeated when I was a hero 10 years ago got reincarnated as a little girl, and now she is rehabilitating me.
Yeah, it's good enough for me.
Washed up affair having that's a
Yeah, it
goofy
works for me.
premise.
Like I don't need as much as I love Welcome to the NHK, and I agree it's a better show. I don't need another show that's trying to be Welcome to the NHK, because it's just going to be discount Welcome to the NHK. Give me something new. Give me something different. And is it different? I like it enough for that. I got a lot of my problems with it, but
Okay, but did Welcome to the NHK have Satania?
no. Did it?
Well, there you go.
I don't think it
Everything
did.
is improved by having
Probably not.
Satania in it.
Yes, I think I want to stick with it. I trust the plan. I think I want to. I'm curious enough. It got me enough to care to see where it's going. which
I
is more
have
than like.
moderate
Would
amounts
you
of
believe me if
trust
I
in the
told you
book.
they had the ass devil girl in the swimsuit naked by the second
I already
episode?
watched the second episode. Yeah, and I'm like, listen, I disavow the degeneracy. All right, but I'm still gonna watch it.
No, you see that's where you're wrong. This show is embracing.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's
I
about
respect
embracing
that because it's
both.
like my problem with that kind of fan service is usually that I can't take the story seriously if you're just gonna do that. But here it's like I don't really need to take most of it seriously as long as as long as the relationship between the main guy and the Demon King like stays as it's presented in episode 1, where it's like, dude, your life, you kind of
I kind
kinda
of
suck.
thought. I kind of got the idea that they was like subtly hinting that he was gay for him,
I
with how much he was like admonishing him when he was as a hero, like, oh yes, the hero that bested me must be like living like a king, or like, oh, I remember back when you were younger, you were that chiseled jawline, you were much more respectable and
no,
handsome.
those are just facts. Those are just
I
facts.
did not get that implication.
And I thought compounding that on the fact that he got reincarnated
I-
as a little girl, which is
Look, that would have
doubled the
been
funny.
something. But no, I didn't really get a sense that they were like hinting at romance. I just thought he was like, dude, what happened?
I don't think they're gonna like they're not gonna pull the trigger on it. I just thought it would have been humorous to think of if not he did not have like if not a romantic or sexual attraction to him, he had some kind of homoerotic or something along those lines of at least a respect for him.
I'd rather he just said, "I want his penis in my mouth."
No.
Well, see, that's a little too on the nose.
I'd rather that.
That would be funny. I will say that.
I don't know. I'm a simple man. I hear Satania in a goofy, thinks they're hotter shit than they actually are anime character, and I find it endearing.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
It's
It's solid, like
it's
6 out of 10.
fine.
I,
I rate
com-
it high.
compared to everything else. I still think this is top 3 of this.
I-
Oh, this
block.
is far
think
from
it
the
is too.
I
worst.
think you might. Let me look
I
at
think
my
this
thing
is
again.
top 3. Yeah.
I'm really not saying much, but it might be.
Yeah, this is far from the worst. I've
Yeah, of
obviously
the
have my issues
three
with
good
it.
of the three good shows from this block, this was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I would disagree with that.
I mean, I wouldn't say good, but it's alright. It's
I don't know.
fine.
I'll probably put
Compare.
4.
Maybe it's being. Maybe I'm getting like Stockholm syndromed from it a little, because compared to everything else surrounding it that wasn't called Zom 100 and Helk, it was a shot of adrenaline
That's
in
fair,
comparison, like relatively.
Everything else this block was desolation.
Yeah.
Like I before One Room Hero, I got a string of 5 shitty isekai back to back to back
Yeah,
to back
same,
to back.
same.
So
I think the worst thing a show can be is just
Yeah.
like forgettable, and I'm not forgetting this one. So
Oh, easily
that's
the
got to
worst.
be some form of a compliment.
I'd rather watch a trash fire.
It's true. That's
Which is why I like Rent a Girl. So.
I'm not watching that. I still refuse.
You should. It's very funny.
I'm
Very
tempted.
bad.
But I'm also like I just know the
season
manga
3 is
panel.
out this season, and Crunchy and I are gonna watch
When's
it.
when are we gonna get to the part where he's like in the beach just thinking about the main chick and
I think
Cloud?
that's season 4
That's-
whenever that comes
I
out.
might-
I
if
can't
they-
wait to
if
get
they
to the
animate
part
that in all
where
its
he
grandeur,
thinks
then I
about
might
the guy,
watch it.
gets the boner in the pool.
Why did he draw
Peak
that?
fiction right there.
Why?
Or I guess rather peak abyss fiction.
Real.
Hey there, lads. Future Neon here. Y'all know the drill. This is part 1 of the 2-part Summer 2023 Seasonal Impressions podcast. Part 2 will be going up next week, so to make sure you don't miss us talking about Rurouni Kenshin, The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses, Dark Gathering, and more, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get notified as soon as we upload. And be sure to like the video and head on down to the comments to tell us what you think of this season and what else we should cover on the podcast. I'm Neon Manta, and you'll see us next time.